Hello again and welcome, friends. We continue over on the B stream with game number 2, Liquid versus Soniqs. And I'm personally very much looking forward to this game. I'm very glad that you joined us here, and I have some analysts to fill me in on the details because we want to make sure we're all equipped for our second game. Most medic with me are Anne and Fresh. Now let's focus on our two squads. Overarching story, Team Liquid, they want to win it all. It's been a long time coming. They got so close, and Soniqs finally have the mindset of, we are going to get a W. We want the big trophy. Finally, it's not enough to just win in the NAL. We want to keep it rolling. So, how about we talk about our teams individually? Soniqs are up first. Welcome back, friends. Those are the Susquehanna Soniqs. Very much looking forward to them in the server. But before that, we have to talk about how they performed so far. Great performance in this year, right? Another invitational that you get to go to. Yep. But Jack, a lot of changes also going into this.
And there's one big one, Milosh. It's got to be. We've got to talk about it. Citizen. He's been signed from G2 in what I think is probably the biggest transfer in the last couple of years. I know Soniqs have brought over EU talent before, but they've never brought over a top 5 player in my world. In my view, Citizen on his day is probably a top 5 player in the world, maybe even top 3. Soniqs are strengthening, and they're strengthening hard because they really want to change the goalposts. They don't just want to be a team that's attending these events and doing well. They want to be a team that's going towards looking at winning these events.
Finally, the mentality has shifted. Maybe Citizen is the player that'll push them to the edge. They'll have to get through our group stage, of course, not just here in, well, one team out of the 5 is eliminated, but also in the second phase of the groups later on. But we sat down and had a chat with the Soniqs. Let's see what they had to say.
My name's Ben, also known as Citizen. I play for Soniqs, and I'm a flex for him. We are in Group B, has Eminem, Direwolves, Wolves, and Liquid, and us. It looks like a really tough group from the outside, I think. First game is against Liquid. I think we'll do really well as long as we follow our game plan and what we want to do and make sure we go in there good vibes, keep the energy high, and hopefully we'll do well. But the preparation for the event has been really good. We boot camped in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. We've been putting a lot of practice in behind the scenes, making sure they're working hard, keeping the energy up, making sure the vibes are good, making sure there's no problems, and going into this event we look really comfortable. The team I'm looking forward to playing most honestly is Liquid. We have them first game, and I think it's just, I haven't actually had the chance of properly beating them yet. So I think going into this game, I have high hopes that we will beat them. Message to my opponents: Palu, I'm coming for you. I know you're a little beta. 20 seconds left of the round and you finally push. I'll be waiting for you. Be ready.
Well, I gotta say, Palu he's definitely a baiter on the team, but let's just say it like that. But anyways, that's some strong words coming out from Citizen. Let's see what he'll be doing. Who will he be baiting come the server? Your thoughts on this, Anne?
Well, shots were fired for sure from Citizen just now.
Yeah, after your teammate died. That's
Yeah, kind of, yeah, it's a refragment to me. Yes, but if we talk about this team, right, Grixer has said, if you told me a year ago that this would be our lineup, I would have bet a lot of money against you. And this is a similar story where we've heard it from G2 as well. Doki said, oh, I'm in such the best team I've ever been in. So if you hear this coming from Grixer about him being so happy with the team, it might have really good prospect.
All right, then let's see what their opponents have to say. It's Team Liquid. So that is Team Liquid. And this team has had a pretty decent run in this year, but still so close to lifting a trophy.
Yes.
Too close.
Yes, they got really, really close last time at the Untitled Major, and it was a heartbreaking loss. You could see it on the faces of the players, and even the players themselves. Lagonis said he is so done with people saying they can't win an S-tier tournament. So they really have a lot of things to prove here. And what's quite funny about Liquid is that most teams come out of best of ones, best of threes, playing now into these best of threes. The last 2 games that Liquid played were actual best of 5. So to go from the best of 5 mindset to your best of 3 mindset, that's going to be a little difficult maybe.
All right, so let's see what Liquid had to say in their interview.
My name is Paulo. I play 5 Liquid. I'm a role as a flex. Most of the teams in our group did a great run last year. Like, I think they didn't win like an event, but they really were playing really well. But like, we are better than them, and we will finish first place for sure. The preparation was like really good. We went to boot camp, but we weren't able. But in Brazil, we have like amazing teams, and we could do like a lot of things. We are looking for like playing probably Soniqs. They did a roster exchange, and they look stronger right now. They are probably the team that we want to beat because a lot of guys are talking about them, and we want our revenge against BDS for sure. Our expectation is like, of course, lift the hammer. We haven't made so close to it other times, and we even lost the last event in the finals, so we really want to lift a trophy that we were desiring for so much time. Aí, Checão, da última vez você escapou, mas eu vou te pegar, hein?
And there it is from Paulo and Team Liquid. It's a good thing that both of these teams are really excited to play one another because we're setting up for it. Now, your thoughts on Liquid, Jack, before we go to our veto?
I think Liquid were already one of the top teams in the world, right? And then another 3 months with that, you know, the star IGL they brought in. He doesn't put up numbers, but Lagonis improves teams so much. We've seen him already win a major. Another 3 months of no competition, just improving internally. Again, it's another team where I'm expecting huge things from Liquid this event.
All right, our map veto is up and ready here. You see the players already seated, and Lagonis, of course, right ahead. As you see the man who, I guess, what was it described? Who said it? Was it you, Anne, that makes the team 10 times better? You said in Jönköping? I think it was you.
Could have been. I have a really bad memory. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Well, you know what? We don't
Anne
need got it memorized here.
Yeah.
That's one thing for all the Kingdom Hearts fans out there that would know exactly what I just said. Team Liquid going up on Villa first. They start on the attack. Soniqs on Chalet, of course, on the attack also. And then finally, that's Theme Park, our decider. General thoughts on the map, Anzan?
Well, I'm really not surprised by the Villa pick coming from Liquid. They've won 4 out of 6 games in recent history. They do ban it a little bit more often than it usually gets banned against them. And this map is a quite low preference map for Soniqs. And it's also not one of their better maps. They do have a loss versus TSM in recent history, and it also had their worst attacking win rate.
I feel that Liquid will have, they have a big enough map pool. They have a 9 map pool where they play basically every map. And therefore that means that it's very hard to ban against them. So I think Soniqs have done a good thing. Pick a map that you like. It's the decider again that I'm looking at on Theme Park, where you're thinking, it's a best of what, it's not, you know, it's not a map that you usually see as a decider. We just saw it in G2 against Koi. But also it's a map that Liquid are very comfortable playing. They've shown across the year that they're very comfortable, whereas for Soniqs it is quite a low preference. So I would say the map veto, because Liquid play 9 maps, the map veto therefore has to favor Liquid.
Despite the fact that the Soniqs come in with a substantial change. It's only 1 player, but Citizen, what role do we expect to see him in? Because the man, from what we've seen on G2 in the past, he can pull it all off.
I think the noise coming out of Soniqs is that this is more of a like for like in terms of the player swap. The Citizen coming in shouldn't really disrupt their processes too much.
Who wins this? We got 20 seconds to go.
Ooh.
Name and score.
Liquid 2-1.
I'd like to agree on that. Yeah, I'm gonna be a bit boring now.
All right, Liquid 2-1 is what our analysts are saying. What about you watching at home? And for those later, they'll be joining us at the arena in 10 days. Very much excited to see you in Laval. Anyways, friends, thank you very much. Our lobby and our game is ready, and it's Liquid versus Soniqs. Off to our casters.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be back once again for this year's SI. It's going to be Blue and Stokes bringing you the action on this game. And what a game to start us off, isn't it, Stokes? Liquid going up against the Soniqs. A lot of hype behind both of these teams. Liquid, of course, trying to get revenge for what just happened back in Jönköping at the very last major. And the Soniqs building up a whole bunch of momentum from that very same tournament. And now a shocker of a roster change to come here to SI.
Absolutely. A chip on the shoulder of Liquid. But the same could be said for the Soniqs. They really want to get another big win under their belt, and they might have picked up the player just to do it. Citizen coming off of G2, who we really didn't get to see too much of last year on an international stage. Only got to see him during Charlotte, where they lost 0-2 to, you guessed it, Liquid inside of their quarters. So, I mean, with all that said and done, I mean, if there's a way to get back into the international stage, it has to be up against a team that you lost to the last time that you were here.
Yep, absolutely the case, and it's going to be very fun to see how these two teams play it out. Obviously, we're at the very beginning of SI here, and I think the maps are going to be very interesting for this one. Looking at the on-paper stats, at least for our first map here as we get into it right now, this doesn't necessarily look like an amazing map for either team, and the same can be said going over to the second one. Things definitely looking a little bit better for Team Liquid here on Villa, however, and you guys at home seem to be favoring that as well. 56% of you believe Team Liquid is going to be topping this one out, so let's see if it ends up being true. Back to my point, though, it's very much a new year, a new start to the year. Some of us were talking about this yesterday at dinner, so the preconceptions we have about teams may not entirely be true, so we have to wait and see just how prominent these two teams are going to end up being on this map. Let's take a peek, because we're already into the bands here with Dokkaebi and Flores being our two attackers to be knocked out.
Yeah, die down those guesses and everything else you're holding dear and close to all of these teams, because all of it, for the most part, really doesn't mean that much unless you're looking over to the likes of Team Liquid. But even given the fact that we've had this amount of time, things could have changed. I mean, they were terrible at Skyscraper. That's what ended up losing them the Jönköping Major, when they ended up getting stomped not only in the semifinals by W7M, but also by BDS in the same map in the finals. That could be something they worked on. You know, we could see that later on down the line, just have that in the back pocket and worked on that the last couple of months. But that's the beauty of SI. Not only is it our biggest tournament of the year, but it's where we get to see all the new bread and butter, all the new toys, see what everybody is getting up to with their rosters. And what better way to do it than this matchup that we have on our hands. We already had the new form G2 earlier today, which Fabian got his first big dub as a coach on international stage, so pretty cool stuff. But now we have to see if Citizen and the Soniqs can get it done with his new addition.
Talking about seeing those new toys, unfortunately, the newest toy not coming out to play on this map specifically. Soul is already banned out, which is something that we kind of expected to see, especially coming from the Sonic side. There's been a lot of talk at NA about specifically about how this operator was really going to be kind of taking over the defensive side of meta, how teams, I saw at least one coach tweeting, like when she first came out, for instance, that like you need to run her on a roster, like you're doing something wrong if you're not picking her up. Curious to see if that's still going to be the philosophy for quite a few of these squads now that we've made it a few months later here to SI. But getting started with our first map, not going to see her in play. Alongside that, Malusi also getting banned out there by Team Liquid.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if she's not the most banned operator on defense of the entire tournament, and that's just because of how volatile she is to the drone game of the offense. That's the most important thing to do on offense, get that information for your teams so you can try and coordinate things and make sure you're successful by the end of the round. Sola, she counteracts, thwarts quite a bit of that, actually, especially in the initial prep phase. A lot of people forced to have their drones outside rather than inside, someone that could be cutting off a rotation or find you some solid information on what the reinforcement setup would look like. She's going to get rid of all of that due to her scanner being able to see all of those electronics. And that's even past drones as well. If somebody's on a camera, if there's an electronic outside that happens to be something that isn't a drone, she sees all of that. So definitely quite a potent operator that has been put in quite recently.
So Liquid already on the board here and starting to prowl throughout the map. Interesting initial site choice coming in from the Soniqs as well as they go downstairs for the kitchen hold instead of our usual expected choice of going towards either AVG or, of course, the area which they are starting to breach into now up here by Statuary, as well as Trophy across the hallway here. A bit of work needing to be done, of course, just to get access to Trophy and start establishing those top-down angles onto the actual site down below. And Rexon stands in the way of this prominently with quite the setup to assist him here. You can see the wall's been double reinforced with the electric batteries coming out from Citizen there. And a few other teammates in the area able to potentially swing around and support him if things get a bit too hot, too. Speaking of which, might be approaching that part of the game here as now we see Resets working his way in and immediately pinching out Rexon, preventing any effective play coming out from his position there.
Soniqs pretty stretched on this top floor. They still have Gunnar over inside of Vault, but he's quickly getting gunned down by Ask. A big explosion there. I believe that was a Nitro cell out of the defender, and it will be from Gunnar trying to make some new angles to assist in this gunfight. But it's going to be Resets that actually has the assist for Ask. They'll take out the man inside of AVG, make their life a little bit easier for this top clear. Remember, it is Kitchen, so this is all going to be on Palu trying to break up this flooring and making it difficult on these anchors.
Very effective top clear overall from Liquid, though Soniqs just did not seem to have the right read on that, either from Ruxin or Gunnar's POV, just getting flanked out. They're only having the half HP returned onto Nesk in the process, and that might be unrelated as well. Citizen going to take the next bit of damage here as he tries to scurry back to the depths of the actual site here, approaching the final minute of play. Soniqs going to have to hope that the setup inside of the site and across the hall into living room is going to be enough to hold off the full brunt of the force from Team Liquid, but I'm not sure if it will end up being the case. Liquid's been very calm, very calculated with this round so far, and has made very few mistakes as a result of that. So all the pressure right now is on the Soniqs.
Liquid measured in their approach. And as you said, you can tell just by their cadence, the way they're carrying themselves. This drone game initially, finding the gaps in the defense that they so desperately needed. But now the Soniqs, they're able to step up to the plate. And Citizen's going to make good on his promise when he joined this team. Not dead just yet. He's going to start off strong with one frag. Grixer will go down to Ask, though. That's going to make this a 2 versus 4. They've got full accordance, full capability to try and put this plant down. But Geo will go down as well. Lagona's now stepping up. Citizen all alone. He'll get one, but can't try and seal the deal from the Tetris position. Way too many Liquid bodies, and they use that to their advantage. First round, Liquid.
Yeah. Fortunately, that all calls back to what happened earlier on in the round. If Citizen had a few more bodies to potentially trade out from on his teammates' side of things, might have been able to make that situation work, but just not enough connecting outside of the site there, and especially when it came to the early roam game. So Liquid has a massive advantage built up just within that first minute or two of play, and it's just following through the motions from that point forward in order to lock in the round. So they will lead 1-0 after the first one closes down.
All right, we're going to have a tech timeout here, so that will also give, the Soniqs a moment to try and talk things out, see exactly what they want to do. This is a very interesting roster now. Not that it wasn't before. Kansan's still an amazing player, but now you have arguably the #1 fragger in the world on your team. I mean, it's kind of up in the air, right? We go back with Palu and Citizen and Nesk. That's kind of the three we kind of rotate around. Everybody else's name is kind of tossed in there every once in a while. You got your Spoits, your Bolos, whatever you want to go with, right? But that man sitting right there on the camera is definitely one of the baddest men alive when it comes to Siege. The Soniqs wanting him quite badly, getting him, but now they have 4 mainstay fraggers. Amazing gun potential when it comes to this team. How does Geo in this squad coordinate that, though? That's the thing that I'm going to be focusing on throughout this tournament. It's been done in the past. We've seen quite a few squads with some very serious gun skill at their disposal. I mean, take it to rocket highs. I mean, that's what we saw in Mexico all the way back in, I believe, 2021, 2020, end of 2020, something like that, where we saw Alamau actually end up winning things there with Team 1. So it's not that it can't be done, but it is going to take a little bit of tweaking, but I do think they have it pretty flushed out, especially with Geo at the helm. I think that is absolutely perfect. He's got so much time under his belt with this game, and to have just another fragger that you can be like, hey, Citizen, go kill this guy. I mean, why wouldn't you want that?
Absolutely the case. There is still probably going to be, like you said, though, just a few awkward rounds here and there as they try to sync things in an actual match for the first time here. Kind of like we saw with the upstairs room, there things is not really connecting, I think, in the way that they would have liked it to. They're already going to go for a pretty much immediate pseudo fix on this, at least for the next round, by switching the site back over to what looks like it's going to be AVG once we get out of this pause here. That'll allow them to play things much closer together.
A lot more lockdown.
Set up for more trades and things like that, especially if an exterior or an extended roam ends up getting pressured. There's still a possibility you can maybe catch the player from Liquid and keep things a bit more even-keeled.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that in the lineup as well. I know y'all can't see it, so we'll talk about it for you here, but we've got Echo, Smoke, Wamai, Warden, and Valkyrie. We're going to AVG right now. What's that tell us, John? It tells us that the anchors are going to step up to the plate here. We're going to see a lot more people trying to fight off of site and trying to fight around that main hallway area. We might still see some roamers. It is Villa. I mean, you guys probably heard it earlier when Ace and Dev were on this map. This place is just a black hole when it comes to the basement. People just go downstairs and just get lost. No one knows that they're there. No one really drones it out all that often. So we could still see a couple of things come through on that end of things. But really, I think that the big benefit right now is that they did end up losing that first round, yes, but the tactical timeout is going to help them to be able to exactly figure out how they want to play the remainder of this game out for themselves. Because like you were saying, it's going to be growing pains. All of these players are used to playing in a certain way, and now you have Citizen there that is a fantastic player, and you, in a certain way, have to carve out space for him to be able to do his job, whilst also finding new tasks that you have to do that Kansan might have been doing before, or something along those lines.
Talked about the anchors wanting to take control in this upcoming round as well, and in all honesty, the site hold wasn't terrible from what we saw. They're able to push it back for a few seconds. Citizen able to set himself himself up properly for quite a few of those return frags. I think it ends up picking up like 4 from that first round right there. So nearly gets the whole set right from the very first round there. And now hopefully being able to keep the players alive for longer periods of time, bring those players deeper into the round as well, and hopefully keep the full 5-man roster alive for that final fight is going to give Citizen, and of course some of these other players as well, the room that they need to clutch out those remaining 2 or 3 kills they need to pick up to win it.
Yeah, and I think even going into that further, with that first round and the way that Liquid played it out, once they got their advantage, they used the timer to its fullest advantage. They used it all the way down to the wire. So if the Soniqs can keep people alive and they're able to help Citizen out in those dying moments, we now have a pretty serious ball game that Liquid is going to have to try and rectify. It's going to be a big problem for them if they start getting some serious frags off the site.
Just a bit of an update, folks. We are working on fixing that audio issue from the first round where, well, couldn't really hear.
Well, there was no audio,
yes.
so.
We are in the process of fixing that right now. It should just be another moment or two. We, of course, apologize for the delay. We're getting back into the game as soon as it is technically possible. As you can see, we're in that technical timeout right now. But this is the new Soniqs roster, the premiere, of course, of Citizen joining up for them, and, of course, the start of Liquid's revenge tour after they unfortunately just missed that chip back over in Jönköping a few months ago.
Yeah, the Soniqs are popping the champagne whilst right across the pond there, you just see Liquid kind of head in hands just getting ready for the game. They're just like, you know, I'm here for a reason, right? Like, it's like that the workout right after a breakup, right? Everyone's just looking at that guy like, oh, it's demon time, huh?
It's important to note, too, the Soniqs have a little bit of a revenge tour of their own. They came very close to getting to the very same point Liquid was at the last major, but dropped out 1 step earlier, I believe.
And so awkward. It was super awkward for them as well because of the maps that they had inside of that best of 3. You definitely think it would benefit them. One of the maps that they actually lost, the second map inside of that best of 3, Clubhouse. Doesn't that shock you a little bit?
For them and their performance last year, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very, very shocking. So I think that was definitely the time for people to kind of step up and be like, all right, we might need to make a change here. And good on Super for going out and getting the top of the line. No, he went to the supercar lot and he wasn't like, I want the Ferrari, I want the Lamborghini. No, I want the Bugatti. That's what I want. Give me the Chiron. That's what we're taking home. And he bagged himself a Citizen. So we'll see if it can continue assisting them with these further rounds. No, he's not. He is not French. He is not even close to French. I mean, British supercars minus the McLarens.
Could have called him a McLaren like 720. You know,
I mean, dude, he is
around the track.
Dude, he is a P1. I can see that. A McLaren P1 because Citizen is cleaner than some shirt shoes. There you go. We got a good little fly or Starboy reference there. Flyboy, my goodness gracious. Everyone's going to hate me for my weekend references this week. But either way, guys, we have delayed long enough. We're back into the game. We actually have some quality content to talk about, minus everything else we've been delaying. For Liquid up 1-0 for those that are just joining us. And Liquid having a pretty straightforward round as they attack Kitchen on that first offense. Taking it to the Soniqs, dwindling down their numbers quite handedly on the top floor. And then finally able to take down Citizen as he was a lone member inside around Tetris.
Let's get into it here, see what exactly the Soniqs will be trying to trip up Liquid with at the beginning of this round. We saw it previously when they were holding downstairs, of course, in Kitchen, trying to deploy up into the other side of the map over here on the inside of Turfy and Statuary, just unable to play around the very coordinated initial take from Team Liquid, where 2 of the members of the Soniqs were immediately caught, really without a proper chance to respond to it, as well as both of them were caught in the middle of a transition. So going to be trying to avoid that same fate this time here on the second round. As we get back into it here, and Soniqs play things a little bit closer towards the chest, and as well, a lot more utility coming out for them to use, such as these drones here from Gunnar as well. Try and spot some of these pushes a bit earlier on.
A little DPEC page there coming out. Some people looking over at the Koi book and going, huh, well, yokais are pretty cool, aren't they? And you can drone on defense and assist your roamers. That could be pretty useful, especially with the fact that if I do keep a yokai alive the entire time, I can probably stop the plant. So yokais working their way back in. Echo could be something that we see come to fruition a little bit more often here at SI. We saw him a handful of times in Jönköping and definitely had some impact, but could be one that we see benefiting quite a few squads, especially if used correctly. Remember, DPEC, one of the best in the business when it comes to that. At this point, I'd say it's him and Redeemer for the all-time best Echo players when it comes to Siege, so we'll see if anybody else can try and throw their name in that hat.
Play continuing to evolve here, but quite slowly, as Liquid not finding that early pick or two as easily as they would have been able to on the previous round here. The Soniqs as well choosing to not play directly into that type of clear. Liquid, of course, trying to take priority downstairs first and is able to get full control down there without too much of an issue. Soniqs not trying to play into that too heavily this round anyway. Now it's about the transition, of course, into Study, as you were seeing one player on repel from Liquid a second ago get access to the door, as well as transitioning up that main stair that becomes the next hard point here for Liquid to breach.
And here's that big issue, like we were talking talking about, Liquid, they love to take their time on this offensive end, but if the Sonics don't get in front of them too early and they're able to slowly let Liquid into the map, then Liquid now has a problem. We need some serious entries, and this is where it starts, but Citizen's going to immediately fire back. Some nice cannon fodder there on to Ask. He'll keep things equal as he's holding it down in Library. Remember, this site is upstairs. This is a full roam here for Citizen, just trying to make sure that the Sonics are able to stave off Liquid long enough to make this round pretty complicated. You can see Nesk now trying to look for another kill down low. Grixer's going to reposition here. I love the timing play. Wants trying to lay things out, has the angle here. Nesk could be in some hot water, and that's the big issue. That gun model, when you're ADS like that, so hard to try and see anyone on those downward angles. So now with 20 seconds remaining, Liquid has to try and hop too.
Nicely done by the Sonics on this round, immediately flipping the script against Team Liquid here and making that slow play work into Sonics' own advantage instead here. Palu will finally get at least one down against Grixer. Gunnar also being taken out too, but Rexon's already traded that back out against Resets. Lagonis, of course, as you've probably noticed, already down here. So Palu, the last player remaining, and is not going to be able to stay in it for that much longer. The immediate traded round comes out from the Sonics, and we are now tied up 1-1.
And actually, a little interesting tidbit there as well. If you guys remember, Citizen giving Palu a little crap at the very beginning, going like, "Hey, I'll see you at the very end of the round." And
to be fair,
and there you go.
He's popped off 2 rounds in a row now, so he has not been wrong about that in any degree.
It's very true. It's very true. Citizen and Palu both meeting each other at the end of the round. It seems to be that those two might be the ones gatekeeping each other for these rounds throughout the rest of the map and the rest of this series, depending on how it goes. But Citizen definitely not missing his mark when it comes to changing teams. Gets another kill under his belt on top of the other 2 that he had from the first round. Just remember, folks, we had a rehost, so all of those kill numbers from the first round gone. So just be aware that the stats afterwards from CGG will look a little bit different than what you're seeing on your screens.
Sonic will now try to directly defend over on the other side of their previous site. We're going to be over here inside of Trophy Stature. Of course, they tried to defend below this back on round number 1, so they already have some experience playing an extended game in here, and they have seen how Liquid wants to approach this when there's not a heavy defense set up on it. Of course, much more resources are going to be expended by the Sonics this time to reinforce this site, so we're going to see a bit more of a creative approach from Team Liquid this time. We can already see that by some of the repicks here. The Ying being busted out so they can take hot control over and more than likely bedroom side and the eventual site play as well. We've also got that Gara hook coming out for Resets also to maybe give us some fun action. Oftentimes though, just to prep everyone, more than likely it could just end up being for the comfort pick of the gun if we don't see the Gara hook find any place to really be used on this round.
Also, just past that, kind of a scary noise as well. Even if it's just used on a random window, when you hear a Gara hook, it's like PTSD. You're immediately just sent into shock and really don't know what to do until you find where she is. So it could be a little bit of a, side move there from Liquid, something that's just to distract. But the more and more that we're getting this offense put together, the more and more it looks like Resets might be flying in via Astro here. Might be trying to take some fights over inside of Bathroom. You can see this fantastic camera placement. That's one you normally don't get when it comes to this site, just because you have so many people rolling around. The only way to get up there is, well, via 2 ways, the flag or the boxes. And, well, this time it's going to be the rope, and it's going to be in for Resets. He's got a frag. Rexon will take down Ask, but Resets, he's got a lot more to do. The stuns will stun him out. The Sonics, they fought back. They've taken down Nesk. This top floor hold, it's going well. Resets will finally be able to gun back, though, and it'll be a 2 versus 2 somehow after all of that action.
The Garhook play paying out in huge dividends right now, as it is the only advanced position that Liquid can seemingly hold on to here. Resets still in the fight as he takes on another challenger and is brought down to just a sliver of HP. Now the only active defender as Lagonis has to go down for the plant. Should be able to get it out without too much of an issue, and there we go. The plant now down, the timer ticks in the other direction, and now the pressure's on for the Sonics instead. But here comes Citizen. Citizen's had the pressure on him twice. Hasn't seemed to balk at it yet, but this time goes down with no damage returned for it. Everything falls to Geo in the clutch down for the 1v2. Can't even get the first target as the assist comes in from Lagonis at just the right timing to lock it in for Liquid instead.
All right, Liquid, they're bearing some teeth here, able to get inside on a pretty action-packed round there. Look at the timer, 2 minutes left on the clock. Reset's already gunning down people with the SMG-11. What a masterclass on how to use that pocket sniper. Such a good gun when it comes down to it. And well, looks like Liquid will be able to take another round here on the offense. Sonics They're starting to get some legs under themselves, though, keeping the numbers very, very close. Although that did get down to a 2 versus 2, though, Liquid still able to take it just by the skin of their teeth.
This is very quickly turning into a game of which team can adapt around the other better. Liquid realizes their mistake from round 2. They were playing things too slowly, giving Soniqs far too much time to read their setup and counteract it actively with their roam game. So instead, they take a bit of a risk. They still play heavily into their own drone game on the 3rd round here for Liquid, but they emphasize getting in, especially for resets there, with that Gara hook and making sure they find impact early on in the round. Then resets does that in a huge way, giving Team Liquid so much control, which they're eventually able to utilize to take control, get that plant down, and deny the retake from below that Soniqs tried to go for.
Yeah, I mean, that round does not happen without the drone placement and the way that Soniqs positioned themselves as well. That drone placement inside of Astro was astronomical.
The only reason why Resets has the confidence to go for a play like that, otherwise that's suicide.
It is.
10 out of 10 if you don't have intel there.
Yeah, because then you don't know if anybody's playing behind Astro Desk or not. And that's the key thing there. If he flies in that window, that's the first person that's going to fight him. So he was able to recognize that no one's there. And the other player, well, they're inside a bathroom. So you throw some stuns and a Gara hook all of a sudden isn't that loud in comparison.
I think they masked it by throwing one of the Yin grenades at the same exact time.
I think they threw it in the master window.
That's why the bathroom player didn't even notice that it happened, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
so that was really
fantastic.
well played by the Liquid roster as well.
Yeah, I love that kind of play when it's kind of those, those throw-off things, those little feints with noise or whatever. That's my favorite play style when it comes to Siege, being able to fake somebody out, get him thinking that you're going to peek a different angle or make a different move, and then all of a sudden you're right on top of them, and they have no idea. You get that big kill, you get the round. That's what we see out of Liquid, especially from that Gara hook play. We don't get to see them all that often, but man, when they pop off, it is surely some fun. A minute down on this, and Liquid, as to be expected, have slowed things down quite a bit. Ask, well, he's traveled into a black hole, which happens to be the basement, and he's looking to come up the red stairs right now. Nice little angle being held there from Grixer, just a 6th sense, though. They have no idea that this guy is here. Just seeing if anybody would potentially roll on up that stairwell and give him a kill.
Both teams slowing it down to a pretty tremendous degree for this round. Liquid with good reason to, given what happened on the previous one. Yeah, they put the right foot forward, but they lost a lot of players in the early take aside from resets. Oh, wasn't the most effective round. Ask, though, gives us a very effective headshot here. Slams Grixer out of this round here. He will go down. The Azami along with it here. And Liquid once again take the early advantage as a result of it.
Well, Grixer, highest rating at Yangshiping when it came to playoff players. 2nd highest for the entire event at a 1.23. Top was a 1.33. But so far, not so good for him. 1-3. Don't believe he benefited all that much in round 1 either. So Soniqs, they're reeling now. The good news is, though, they've wasted so much time when it comes down to it. 50 seconds remain for Liquid to hop 2. They have all access to every portion of the map that is important to them, though. Not going to have the sledge here to really try and create any verticality. That's why we do have the breaching charges on Palu, trying to break up some of the electronics down low with that scanner as well. And IQ, a little stronger, trying to dodge out some of those C4s as well. Gio, he'll be able to trade himself out. It'll go down to a 3 versus 4, and it's going to be onto the utility game here. 2 nitros in the pockets now make it 1 after Citizen uses his, but it'll fall on deaf ears.
Explosive timing just way off there for Ask as the screen gets shook to heck and back as he tries to work his way in there. Not able to read into it appropriately, and the rest of the execute as well just falls to pieces right before our very eyes here. The Soniqs finally getting a shutdown on the defense now to swing things back in the other direction and tie us up once more, 2-2.
That round right there from the Soniqs was extremely, extremely well done. And it's really just up to the way that they were able to delay time past the death. Team Liquid really didn't have it in the cards to be able to go back through the site and figure out everybody's position. So they had to try and send it and see what they could do. And that gave, well, the benefit over to the Soniqs. They were able to try and position into some more risky situations, kind of like what we saw over there in China, right next to the door there for what I thought was Grixer, but I do believe it was Gunner actually sitting in there. But yeah, that makes it to where Liquid doesn't exactly know where the positions are from the Soniqs. They know they're somewhere in the site, but that's really where the buck stops, and that's what punishes them as well. So it's going to be 2-2 here as Soniqs able to stay neck and neck with our runners-up from Yangshiping.
2 rounds left to go, so let's find out as the Soniqs once again bring a nice adaptive play to the table. And they're now going to be able to return to a site which they have already closed out on as well over here on the inside of AVG. This is where they adjusted in round 2, pulled things back, played a lot closer to the chest. Very similar to what we saw in the previous round as well. So no reason why they wouldn't play it differently. They also had this great pinch in the first floor stairs entranceway, mainly employed by Citizen as well as Geo playing it from the staircase, blocking off access from the main entryway with the smoke grenades as well. So expect something very, very similar to be deployed here. However, Team Liquid are bringing something very, very different, potentially potentially to counter this one out.
Yes, indeed. This might be a rare occasion for you actually see Glaz with frag grenades, because usually you're trying to be self-efficient with smokes, but this is team play here. This is high coordination. We're not paying these people to have fun, all right? We're paying these people to win video games, and that's what this lineup is designed to do. But via Glaz and, well, Capitao and Monty, that's why you see all of those smokes on them, minus obviously Capitao. He's got the smoke bolts, which are even cooler because Wamai is the only person that can try and deal with those. So look to Rexen to try and thwart that game plan. But the key thing here for Liquid is going to be keeping that veil up, keeping the shroud there until Glaz can capitalize. If you use that rifle too early, they're going to know exactly what's going on, and well, the round's practically over. I wouldn't say it's just done just yet, but that
now it is,
right there. Yeah, Ask going down initially, not the biggest of deals. I mean, it's definitely a problem, but my goodness, Soniqs, they are taking it to Liquid. They didn't even get a chance to really get in the building. The first footstep right here into this door is an immediate nitro cell to the feet of Liquid.
Obviously, the setup is impressive from the Soniqs, but just the raw aggression and how well it works from the Soniqs is the more impressive part for me. Some of these players just swinging the angles and absolutely slamming the heads off of Team Liquid players here. But once again, a lot of mastery built up to that point, too. You saw the Nitro cell from Citizen, and he's going to come in one more time for the final kill as well. Away from that as well, more players just setting themselves up with proper utility. While it may not have guaranteed a kill outright, it does set them up for it. And indeed, we saw Team Liquid just get set up for failure time after time again on this round, playing directly into the hands of the Soniqs, now giving them the lead here at 3-2, heading into the final round of the first half.
Yeah, the Soniqs just ravished them right there. That was really ridiculous.
That's 2 rounds now that's been happening.
Disgusting stuff, especially with what Liquid was going for right there, right? It was heavily coordinated. You got 2 ops that interact with Glaz there, Glaz with the frag grenades, but you're also trying to make sure that they don't hear that rifle so you don't run into any problems when it comes to actually using those smokes, right? So with that being said, Liquid are trying to get a foothold kind of easily around, right? They're going downstairs, trying to work their way up the main stairs, do all of these fairly straightforward, fairly default things. And that's what the Soniqs had planned. They wanted to take the fight to them on every entry point. That was some of the more ease of access locations, like the bottom of that stairwell or study balcony. We didn't even get to see a single thing go down that was an important utility piece to their overall strategy because the Soniqs were so quick to deliver that death blow.
And no attempt from Liquid there as well to potentially change up the attacking strategy, go for a north clear and work themselves in from Trophy Statuary side instead. Just fully affirmed in the fact that they could beat the setup from Citizen and Geo down there at the bottom of the first floor. And unfortunately, that choice ends up setting them up for failure 2 times in a row inside of this half now, as the Soniqs look to try and claim an ultimate lead if they can get one more round on the board here for a 4-2 scoreline. However, they are going to move back to a bit of a shakier territory as they'll be inside of that Trophy and Statuary site to try and finish off that final round.
All right, well, looks like we're back to basics when it comes to Liquid. Palu, we on the Lion, Ask on the IQ this time. That's been thrown around to a different set of people here. The offensive lineup of Liquid, trying to get access back to the basement via the wine cellars. So get that popped open and then start working their way into the building. We are going to be on a trophy stat defense and, I mean, everything else making quite a bit of sense, especially for the Soniqs camp. We've got double denial when it comes to drones with the Mozzie Mute combo that we're also very accustomed to. Castle working his way in as well, which, I mean, he's a huge benefactor of this particular site. There's so many different ways you can try and break all this up with those castle barricades. We can see a couple of those around like the closet and things along those lines, just making Liquid's life a little bit harder, especially because they don't have any range soft breach. So if they want to get rid of something, it's going to have to be a frag grenade or Ask going to get it himself.
They don't have that direct insertion method that they used the last time they attacked this site. That's where Resets had his big moment with the Gara hook play, working itself into Astro there. Nothing like that going to be in play this time. It's a much more normal take going to be coming out from Liquid, but they don't necessarily seem to be losing any momentum with regards to the timing they need to use to get onto the site here. Still proceeding as you might expect, given we're about halfway through the round now, and you can already see them starting to move towards that Astro control. Great lineup here from Ask as well. Just snipes the head right off of Gunnar and starts the real take.
Oh, Ask. Oh, that was an important gunfight right there. Citizen able to get the flank. Nitro cell out. He's in hot water, and I don't know if he knows it, but he gets Lagonis. Citizen? Oh, so very close to the triple. Liquid, though, they still might have the round, even though Citizen was doing his damnedest to shut it down. It's a 2 versus 3. Geo works in via Wolf. has a drone on him. Case not down just yet, but it is down on the ground. It's going to be inside of Astro. A quick kill there by Resets. And now Geo going to get it down to the 1 versus 2, but it's covered by Liquid. I believe a flank route coming in potentially. No, that was just a shot over from Astro. Just got the shoulder. A slight little pixel of the Soniqs player, and Liquid pull ahead yet again.
Good adjustments there from Team Liquid. Still a little bit shaky with regards to the flank watch for that overall push there, but they do a much better job than we saw on the previous attempt, where it was mainly Resets' entries that allowed them to win it, and their flank watch did kind of fall to pieces in the middle of that third round attempt there. Able to batten down the hatches a little bit better this time. Just take a stand in Astro, essentially, and win the round out on a gunfight from that point forward. Nicely played by Liquid to even it back up here at 3-0 at halftime.
Yeah, well, Liquid didn't exactly pull ahead, but they have tied things up. I mean, I'll kind of jump ahead there in the script. That's on me. My bad, my bad. Yeah, that's this round. See, it's right here, John. Round 7. My bad. So we'll see if they can get that done, or if maybe Liquid has a different fate in mind for themselves. Could say the same for the Soniqs, but speaking of fates, Citizen, I mean, it really looks like he's going for a statement game here, John. Currently 7-2-2. You can slap 2 more kills and a death on top of that, so technically he's 9-3 right now.
I would say the investment's paying off based on this first game.
Nah, Superstat is pissed, I can tell you. Like, he's just so mad with this investment and what Seth has done with this org. No, he's definitely killing it. You know, especially with trying to switch out Kansan, which for your squad at that moment in time was one of your big clutch factors, right? And he's kind of died off a bit, and that tends to happen with players in any esport, in any sport at all. You know, it can be a million different things. Mental, burnout, whatever it is, right? But, I mean, if you're going to go and try and replace a player that has that much talent, you're going to have to try and go and find somebody that is the best at what they're doing, and that's what they've done. So it's obviously working out up until this point, but the shoe is now on the other foot. We're on offense now for the Soniqs, and what can they do with a heavy amount of coordination?
Let's see here. Citizen's still going to be a big piece of the puzzle here, obviously. On the Nook, seeing what exactly he can potentially sneak up towards against Team Liquid in the opening minute or 2 of play. More than likely going to be trying to mess with the northern hold from these guys. Grixer, of course, getting some decent intel to play off of here. Not anything that's immediately actionable, but it does force a relocation of the Warden Anchor playing behind the map table there. Actually catch the relocation position too, but Grixer still doing some good work as well, sniping out a few good pieces of utility, such as those Volcon canisters that Ask placed down a little bit earlier on in the round. Won't have to try and snipe those out around the 1-minute mark and wait out the timer now. And already seeing some of the toxic bays being deployed too. Soniqs so far doing a great job of baiting out this utility, and we're only a minute deep into the round here.
Well, to be expected from Liquid when it comes to their offensive sides is a pretty slow delivery. But for the Soniqs, it usually ends up being just that level of coordination coming through and an immediate execution. Doesn't matter what the clock has in store for them. When they're ready, they're going. So, looking to see what they can do. You can see Liquid with their setup right now is definitely throwing a spanner in the works of the Soniqs game plan, especially with this position around red. This is one that you don't really work out all that often as a unit, so they're going to have to try and mental math their way out of this, but Nesk made it pretty easy. 1 + 1 equals the guy dead on red stairs, doesn't it? So Citizen going to be able to at least try and assist. Liquid now reeling, trying to get back to sight. Geo's found a foothold and potentially a plant spot, but they have to try and deal with Lagonis. He's back and forth on this door, trying to play the vault to the best of his advantage. Don't believe he has any more smokes in his pocket either. He's completely out after he guns down Geo here. Ask will pick up 1, and there's no plant being forced from the Soniqs. They're practically just waiting to die.
They don't have enough nades here. They need to try and get Citizen in position to dunk another one there into side of Gunval. Already had the 2 from Rexon get used before he had gone down there as well. It's just no capability to force Lagonis out of this position right now. I assume he has either an ADS or something else sitting in there to support his position even further too, so that's another issue that they'd have to deal with. They've been great at clearing out the utility, but they didn't bring enough, it seems, to clear out the hard points deeper into the site, like the gun vault position that Lagonis is using to haunt the rest of the Soniqs roster right now. 20 seconds remain here for them to get onto the board, get the plant down onto the ground. Grixer maybe in a valid position to at least attempt for a plant here, but they don't seem confident to go for it. They're going to try to lurk in. Ask sneaks off another snipe against Citizen here, and Lagonis one more swing to win out the round. Very well won by Liquid to bring it back after initially struggling to hold back the tide.
Yeah, I think those are the rounds that we're going to see later on in the tournament Soniqs picking up as well, because you can see how much work they got done inside of that, first minute and a half, and then the wheels just came off the wagon. Everyone kind of slowed down, no one really pointing them in a direction where the plant would be successful. Liquid was completely drained of utility. The only utility that they had in those dying moments was a singular impact on the Valkyrie. That doesn't kill anybody. If they were able to try and secure the vault position, that round was more than likely going the Soniqs' way, but instead it was kind of just lackadaisical kind of, you know, those side movements where they really weren't propelling themselves forward that get them punished, and Liquid able to take full breadth of that round. And like I said with the script, man, Team Liquid take the lead.
Liquid indeed going to flip themselves right back into a winning position here, but Soniqs still very much keeping the pressure on, only messing up that round towards the very tail end of it when they had to push in against the anchor hold from Team Liquid. Like I said, great adjustment from them to make sure that they still held on. A lot of patience from Lagona specifically there to make sure that things did not go awry, but he holds strong, and now Soniqs unfortunately have fallen back a little bit here. Some free picks going to end up coming in specifically for Grixer there. We're going to bring the Lion back into the fold to try and lock down the more mobile members of Team Liquid in the more heated moments of this round, but they're also out on the board. Let's see how they go for the initial approach against this hold from TL.
Well, round 8. This is where things could get interesting. We've been seeing a lot of Citizen when it comes to this Soniqs game plan so far. Geo kind of picking up some of the pieces when it comes to the tail end of the rounds, and the remaining fraggers and flex players all trying to make the most of it at the current moment, but not as much as we are used to. Some nice shots there from Ask. He's going to tag up Gunner. Won't find the kill, but it'll be enough to send him back to the roof.
Big player the past few rounds. Ask has been instrumental in finding the big turning point kills here for Team Liquid and making sure that they are quick and efficient. And more importantly, that Ask doesn't immediately get traded in the process as well. Just not going for these aggressive one-for-ones that you oftentimes see in the early round. Keeping himself alive into the late round as well. There's some great effectiveness coming out from him over the past few rounds, trying to slow the tide from the Soniqs. Speaking of which, we are going to see Citizen make his first mark into the building here, taking that tiny bit of pantry control. Doesn't want to push it forward just yet, but you have the double X Kairos pellet down there to potentially give him a little peephole into the kitchen itself. He's probably waiting for that to pop open before he ventures a bit further. Indeed, has it open now, but not confident in the play. So he'll back out from the window, more than likely rejoin his teammates or go for a basement push.
Nothing really there for him unless he wanted to give a frag nade up to the gods. Definitely been a thorn trap right on the other side of that, and that would have made for a very awkward gunfight up against Palu. Do you want to die to a Razor Bloom, or do you want to die to somebody with an Uzi? It's really your only two options right there. Resets, though, he's found a different one, and it's going to be die to Gunner instead. Soniqs, they have the lead off kill, and plenty of time to continue this engine, and they will indeed. Geo, potentially with the first Soniqs plant here, it's looking good. They're looking spry, and they're going to get it down. It's a 5 versus 2. Palu and Ask now forced to pick up the pieces. It won't be a flawless round as Palu takes down Citizen, but Grixer guns back quite quickly. Ask very low on HP now. 50 HP in a dream, but Grixer quick to thwart all of those plans. High hopes, but they're going to die out as the Soniqs tie us up again.
Positions get locked down much earlier on this time from the Soniqs, and overall you just have a lighter amount of resistance in the actual site itself due to the way you have to play that one. So Soniqs do not run into that same issue that befell them back on the first round of this half, and have a much easier time holding on to the site as well here. It's going to be a change-up from Team Liquid, though, back downstairs in a dining and kitchen to go for the next one, as we still are tied up here. 4-all. Overtime is looking incredibly likely if we continue to seesaw like this.
Well, I mean, we are potentially, we're about halfway through if we do go to OT, you know? So we've a little eclipse that just a little bit, rather, you know, because we are technically maxing out at 15 rounds.
Like 55%.
Yeah. It's always fun when you end on an odd number, right? Because it's like, well, what part is half? Either way, though, looking over at Liquid's camp, this is really what we wanted to talk about. Nesk just not really getting things done initially here today. 1 and 7. The initial round also just not really doing too much, so you can slap another death on top of that as well. He's gotten a singular kill for the starting map of the tournament. Not exactly something that we're used to seeing. He didn't have the greatest start to Yongshipping either, but by the tail end, it was indeed him and Palu at the top of Liquid again. I know, very, very surprising.
Double soft breach going to come out for the Soniqs this time as well, bringing the buck into the fold for...
Oh, and the Sledge, our relative big boy now, as he's the 3 armor.
So that's going to be interesting to see, just considering the fact that it's not really one or the other. Very rare that we get both in the same exact rounds. Let's see how Soniqs are going to try and use this double-edged soft breach combo to try and get better access to the sites here. Obviously, could just be an insurance policy in the event that Gunner goes down. Rexon can still fulfill the same job from upstairs, but there's probably something a bit more advanced than that in the cards. Citizen wasting no time, by the way, immediately jumping into the action. Oh, and what a play from Geo to come up on his flank there. Geo will go down, but Citizen can now bring him back from the grave. Rexon has also already made impact. Screw the soft breach. He just wanted the gun, apparently, as he pushes directly in through Laundry or Red Hall. The rest of the team is scrambling to try and get back into the site, but no! Grixer just goes huge with a triple kill on the spray instead to end the round outright. I don't even know if we got a minute deep into that one.
Pure, unadulterated aggression from the Soniqs. Extremely punishing. Extremely well done. Yeah, I mean, everything, at least operator lineup-wise, was building up to be something that, you know, you could expect on the top floor. Then kind of take that top floor over, get Sledge breaking up the floor, get Buck making the side angles via Ivy, you know, that drop down into Memorial where you can break open the top of the reinforcements and look in. That's what it was kind of building up to. And, I mean, even for Liquid, if they got drones out or any information on any of those ops, they're probably thinking the same thing. This is probably going to be something, you know, relative to the top floor. We might see some stuff around Pantry, right? They still have the Ace, they still have the Nook, but we're really worried about what's going on in these portions of the map. And that was not it at all. The Soniqs quickly get into the map, not only that, but on the base floor and get into sight. They gun down everyone that's distracted by what's going on with Pantry. Gio's on top of the play as well. He's not just sitting there waiting for a breach to open up. I mean, it was fantastic across the board from the Soniqs. An extremely high level of coordination is what took to win that round.
Much needed tack timeout going to come in on this round from Liquid as well. They are unfortunately getting shut down just due to the pure variety of takes we're now seeing from the Soniqs as well. Definitely not expecting anywhere near the aggression we got out of that previous one, but there is hope on the horizon specifically for this upcoming round on number 10 here. Obviously, the anchors came in huge the last time Liquid played this back at the beginning of the half. They were able to outlast the utility dump from the Soniqs to clear out the defensive utility and eventually win things out in a 2v3 on the actual site here. Soniqs seem to have a very different flair for this one, though.
Please lock it, Gio.
Currently has the Blitz soft locked on a repick, so we will wait and see if that stays the same position for the next 10 seconds or so. We've also got the Gara hook coming back out once again, this time for the Soniqs, of course, on Gunner, and the Candelas for Citizen, so this could be a fun one.
Oh, Poppy Gio, man. Our Mexican menace. He's in, and he's on the German operator, Blitz. We're ready for a freak show, John, and we have one lined up for you on the offense. You ever been to the circus? We got people that can clone each other, ones that flashes with shields, and people that can go on, you guessed it, zip lines that they make themselves out of a gun. So we'll see if the Soniqs can get things done. Hey, we even made it rhyme here for this round. Round 10 on the docket. It could be Soniqs pushing this to match point.
Gunnar already has the Gara hook out and primed, so we'll see what he potentially tries to do with this. Could just be getting himself up onto a balcony, of course, so...
Is Gio going to rush down the guy on main?
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Gunner's ready. Gunner's like, Gunner is set for something. We just got to wait and see. Here we go. Wait for a second.
Flash the top.
We're going to go in, and they're immediately going to try to take control of this one, and so far it's worked. Resets, though, with the trade. Back on to Gunnar. Stops the play from working out with the guard hook. Rest of the team's going to slow down as a result of that, but at the very minimum, they have been able to work their way in a top stairs less than a minute into the round here, and I don't believe without too much further delay, they should be able to also get study control as well here.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I'll trade an Amaru for a smoke any day of the week. I'm sorry, Gunner. I'm sorry. Your life just doesn't matter that much in comparison to Lagonis here in main stairs control.
He was basically the dice roll operator here anyway.
Yeah, really. He really was. I mean, like, you know, every good play in Siege needs a martyr. He just happened to be the one for this case. So
it does put a bit of a sour on the rest of this push as they don't have the alternate angle to push from on north side now. They don't have that extra pinch. That does mean Liquid has a lot more extra security to play through on the back of the site, but still, Soniqs have this staging ground and they have plenty of extra time to suss out the intel too, so there's still plenty of ways they can figure out how to work past this.
Yeah, the worrisome thing is now is how do you play around the mirrors? You have this foothold, but more than likely all those mirrors are played in towards your position and know what you're going to be, rudimentarily going for, right? They already know where those lines are looking towards. So really, Liquid's probably already thinking ahead and going, okay, when are Soniqs going to try and adjust and get somebody over here to this red stairs? Because like you said, it's pretty one-fronted right now, which is not exactly what you want when it comes to Siege. If you have a one-front assault, that probably means you lose the round unless you just outgun literally everyone, which doesn't tend to happen all that often at a professional level. People usually tend to have very comparable gun skills. Obviously, some are not built like others, like Citizen and what we've been talking about here today, but doesn't mean that these rounds couldn't still be close. Looks like Gio's going to have a soft wall here, and I mean, if he just took that little pop shot through the wall, be able to kill him, but obviously has no idea that Nesk is actually in this location. Resets with a fantastic kill. Nesk actually might have one here. If we do see Citizen swinging through, I don't think he's actually going to end up challenging that. Citizen still staying on the window. Where's Rexon at? He's actually going to be helping out Grixer here inside of Study, but with 15 seconds remaining, they have got to hop to.
Just this deeper site setup seems to be plaguing the Soniqs. This is 2 rounds in a row now where they've really struggled to take it apart. Maybe I spoke too soon, though, as it's suddenly down to 1 for Team Liquid. Resets, a hero moment potentially to be deployed here. He'll go for it, but no! The case planter instead denies it, and another round goes up on the board for the Soniqs.
We just trust each other. Come on. You guys fucking suck.
Oh, sorry. I didn't. What? I didn't laugh at anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, I mean, amazing round there from the Soniqs, 6-4, and yes, extremely, extremely well done across the board. There was really no other way for them to try and fight that off, especially because of the way we were talking about the mirror windows, right? They know what their moves are more than likely going to be. So the Soniqs' only case that they win is if they're able to wrap around, either get up red stairs, kill the guy 90, and try and get in through the top red door. Get in through bust, try and get a plant on the vault. That's always going to be your safest bet when it comes to that site, and it works out in spades for the Soniqs. Extremely well done, and they're looking to take this first map up against Liquid.
Let's see if they can get it done. 2 opportunities here between this round and the next. Otherwise, we still end up in overtime. Important to note as well here, the Soniqs looking to close this series out in clean fashion. If they're able to do so, that's more points going up on the board for themselves in a 2-0 victory. So we'll have to wait and see how this all ends up playing out. And how many points they'll be able to claim here by winning it inside of regulation instead, should that come to pass. For Team Liquid, though, it's looking very similar to how we've played these sites in the past. Not going to be able to go, of course, for AVG directly, but they can go across the hall over to Trophy and Statuary. Or maybe, just maybe, they can hold on for at least one more round coming up here.
I can tell you this right now, if we don't see anything out of Nesk for the remainder of this series is done. You can just wrap it up with a bow. He's 1-10. Remember, there's an extra death on that from the first round where the stats did not get calculated because we had a rehost. So Nesk just not playing extremely well right now. Would love to see him start warming up. One of my favorite players of all time, my personal GOAT, as one of the players I used to watch all of the time to try and learn how to play Rainbow Six Siege back when I was absolutely terrible. Now I just suck, so that's a little bit different, right? But either way, for the Soniqs, they're looking to take it to them. 40 seconds in here, not too much to say about it, minus the drone game. This is something that's been very beneficial from the Soniqs early on inside of these rounds, and they've made very good on their promise throughout this entire game. That's the key thing that I've noticed, is even though they've worked Citizen in, the drone game, the coordination, it is not lacking.
Certainly not the case. Now it's more of a question of how will it continue to hold its strength against some of the other teams in this tournament as well when they get deeper and deeper into it. Will it continue to be as effective on other maps? That's another question. Clearly, the Soniqs have prepared things a bit more than we had seen at the last event. This was a topic we talked about last night quite a bit as well, that the map pools for teams are going to be a little bit of a red herring if you're just looking at the stats, since we had like a full 3-month break between the last event and this one. So teams have had plenty of time to theorize not only new strategies, but of course develop their play on new maps here. Getting deeper into the round though, Nesk nearly getting caught from a grenade down below, but it looks like it goes away from just at the last second here. Ask ready for the challenge in the meanwhile. Coming in over towards Study. He shuts down one. Nesk finds another one. Geo will be able to trade out onto Lagonis, but it's so detached from all the action. Nesk is down on the ground in the meanwhile, but Palu still defending things quite nicely. He finds Citizen, brings it down to only Gunnar as well as Geo now for the rest of this round in a 2v4.
Well, Geo's found a foothold on the site. Just have one at the back of Trophy, but so much cannon fodder sent back and forth. Finally, somebody will land the shots. Gunnar will take down Palu, and this opens up the veil just enough for them. Especially with the time remaining, Soniqs have enough to be able to try and get something positive going for themselves. I love that play there from Geo. Sits the Selma down. It's such a loud piece of utility. Gets that drone going as well. Repositions it for the dead players. You can see Rex on the drone right now. He's going to be in the calls for this situation. Now the plan's going to go down, and that's why Geo repositioned that cam. They need comms to be able to watch that other angle. A nice kill there from Gunnar. Nobody can stop the plan. It's a 2 versus 2. Ask has to win this gunfight, and he will. Gunnar now has to try and pick up the pieces in the 1 versus 2. He's got a perfect gun for this. The RX. All he has to do is tag these people. More than likely down them in a bullet or two, depending on if it's Nesk or Ask. And through the rotation hole. Man, it feels like a grand final, and we're only in the group stage here. Gunnar back and forth! And they line up! The Soniqs get the first map, Citizen. 1-0 with the Soniqs to start with the squad.
And looking to pop it off as well. Beautifully played by the Soniqs. A bumpy first round for the team, but they immediately rebound and continue to do so throughout the rest of this map. As we get towards the tail end of it as well, it is seemingly shutdown after shutdown, with the members of the Soniqs taking control and making a statement here against the second place finish from the previous major.
Absolutely insane stat line past that. Grixer, 10 kills, passed up Citizen at the very last moment. So Grixer still playing fantastic. Super excited to see how this series ends up playing out. So we're going to send you guys to a quick break. We'll be right back with map 2.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Six Invitational. It is time to get ready for our second map of our second matchup here on the Bravo stream between Team Liquid and the Soniqs. What a very riveting first match we just had there to really debut the new Soniqs roster, of course, starring Citizen, as he's been swapped in. I think he put quite a good performance on the table there to really prove any question as to whether he was going to be performing up to stuff here to bed immediately.
Yeah, it was not a bare bones kind of game at all. There was quite a bit of meat when it came to those chicken wings. I mean, dude, Citizen just playing lights out. And again, this is somebody that just came across the pond like a month ago. You know, truly, truly incredible that he's able to just plug and play so very well with a completely different squad. So, I mean, big ups to him. But past that, the Soniqs able to carve out a spot for him to feel successful whilst also still playing up to their own pedigree. That's what I personally love. I mean, we saw Grixer playing fantastic inside of that game as well, had the most kills. I mean, the Soniqs look like they're firing on all cylinders, and they just started.
We really saw it come to light for me personally on the attacking side as well. Team just looked electric in quite a few of those rounds. I mean, we were seeing outright rush plays being deployed as well. There's such as the one play we saw on the inside of Kitchen the first time it was attempted there. Tell me which guy.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about this real quick because now these are the complete totaled stats. Because remember, round 1 we didn't get to see anything that happened. So Citizen and Gunner actually tied for kills. Citizen on our scoreboard only had 8 because he got 2 kills in the first round. He has 10 total. Resets was actually the one with the most kills in the game at 12. But still, I mean, just looking at that board and looking at the mainstay fraggers that you're used to seeing pop off for the Soniqs, nobody slowed down at all. If anything, it's just been Citizen that has benefited them and propelling them forward. Kansan would usually be somebody ended up right there in the middle, right where you usually expect your flex players, especially when they're playing more of those soft supports on defense. You know, just staying alive a little bit longer, looking for more of those clutch moments. He's providing that firepower, and it's just so beneficial for them because you have all of those other players that can also get away with so very much when you give them those moments, and it's just made it to where their playbook is wide open. It really seems like they can pull anything off with these players.
And for Liquid, it was very much all or nothing, at least from an individual basis. We were
Feast or famine, really.
There. Yeah, very much the case. Resets had that one great round played out on Amaru where he made that excellent entry, built off of some great intel from his teammates into Astro that would eventually lead to him pretty much single-handedly taking control of the site. A few picks coming from his teammates there, but it was really all on him. Aside from that, though, that was really it. Nesk, of course, you mentioned a few times, just not really in the game that much. I think he had like 3 or 4 kills total that matchup there, so we need to see some improvements on the usual mainstays here from Team Liquid. Strategy-wise, things look fine, in my opinion, from Team Liquid, just the individuals not hitting their shots when the pressure is on right now, and that's allowing the Soniqs to just flood in, especially on the attacking side. It does appear, though, ladies and gentlemen, that it is time for map number 2, so let us get into it. It's going to be on Chalet, and let's see here now if the Soniqs can get it done 2-0, or if Liquid has a little bit more fight left in them here, what should be a bit of a better map for them compared to the Soniqs.
Now, this could be very scary for Liquid, depending on how Soniqs are out the box here on Chalet. Remember, with Citizen in the lineup, you're probably going to see a few things that are similar to Sonic's game plan, but now you have access to an entirely different and new player that has a different set of skills, right? He wants to play things a certain way, so we could still see some things moved around a little bit for what we're used to seeing for these operator lineups. For Team Liquid, though, they're going to start us out on the offensive side with these bans. We're getting rid of Flores. Always love a good Flores ban. He's just so useful when it comes to getting rid of utility.
Not only that, too, but specifically on these maps, we have a boatload of like very interior rooms that you have to clear utility on, where you're not going to have access to like a window or otherwise repelled angle that you could easily use to knock out some of that utility by chucking a nade in from the exterior, something like that. That's where he comes in hugely, and this is one of those maps, unfortunately, where you do have quite a few of those rooms, so he is quite often banned out here. Ying was very prevalent, specifically for Team Liquid in the last map, so she's going to get banned out here because she also has quite a bit of play specifically on this map. Soniqs just echoing the ban from map number 1 there as well. With Solus, probably going to see that be a constant thing throughout a lot of our matches here, at least early on in the tournament, and then Liquid has the final ban.
Azami? Nope, it's going to be Malusi. Okay.
Defender bans are exactly the same.
Yeah, defender bans are just going to continue to go back and forth for probably like a list of 4 ops. It'll probably be like Solus, Malusi, Azami, and Mira. We'll probably have a couple of other things work their way in, like if somebody bans like a Thatcher, then Kaid will probably get banned out, you know, the usual respect bans, but I mean, there's just so many volatile operators right now on defense that it's like, all right, pick your poison. Like, what don't you want to play against? Because you're going to have to play against something that you don't necessarily like.
All right, well, it's going to be a master hold upstairs first for our initial defenders, which in this case is going to be Team Liquid. Soniqs are on the attack yet again, but they're not going to be too fearful of that, I imagine, given the performance they just gave us on Villa. Curious to see if it's going to be as strong, if potentially stronger here on map number 2, as of course this is their own map pick. We just saw Team Liquid's pick over on Villa go very handily into the Soniqs corner just a few moments prior, so now they're looking for the 2-0 shutdown.
Oh, very cool. Liquid's going to be playing downstairs with these mirror windows. They do have to worry a little bit about some of the cross sections that you have to deal with from the bar hallway downstairs there, but it could definitely be a beneficial position for Liquid going into this. It's going to force Soniqs to try and bunker bust 2 different locations. Obviously, they could still go direct, and they found quite a bit of success at doing so on the last map, but Chalet plays a little bit differently, and honestly, it's more beneficial to the offensive side of the coin than anything. So we could also see them just take their time, try and dive dice up this defense from Liquid and hold some of those extremely strong angles that we're used to seeing on this map.
Starting his run here, kind of a different operator role this time to what we were seeing previously. He's going to one of the Nomad instead, pull off a flank watch role this time. That does make sense considering, especially as you heard in that little interview with him, though, he is taking on a flex role, so we can expect that to happen quite a few times. I would imagine specifically on the attacking side more than anything, as this is a bit of a trickier map to deploy into here. Grixer and the rest of the team definitely trying to prioritize on that upstairs control first, and still a little bit of setting up apparently going on for Nesk here. Missed the opportunity, but that mirror window is still going to be in the way. Nesk, of course, with all the intel to play out from that window now.
Nice little setup here on the main window for Master as well for Citizen. Soniqs have wrapped themselves around the top floor here, busting open all of these windows, and this is where it becomes problematic for the defense. You can see all of the different angles that specifically Lagonis has to try and deal with here. You have the bathroom player. If you back up too far, Citizen will shoot you from the master window, and then you're also going to have pressure from the Soniqs across the board in other locations as well. Palu doing his best to try and get this open, looking for any Claymore lasers, doesn't find anything. He's going to wait for the comm to see if anybody's on these windows so he can try and take the gunfight. Hops out, some serious damage onto Gunner, but it's not going to be enough to actually down him.
Citizen us taking a small amount of heat from a separate fight there. He'll lose about a quarter of his overall HP. Turn movement has gone in. Rex spotting out at least one player. Ask and Gunnar trading blows against completely separate players as well. Finally brings us down to the 40. Oh, Rexon with the slam and headshot against Nest just steals control of the office away. Important to note, though, look like Case is actually down right now for the Soniqs. They do need to find a way to pick that back up and quickly, as they have interior site control, but no way to move the objective forward currently. Ask as well, still with full control of the top Solarium stairs, which is going to continue to hold back any more aggressive play from the rest of the Soniqs.
Yeah, Liquid definitely worse for wear here. Still capable. Still have some nitro cells as well as an impact to be able to try and thwart this game plan, but the nitro's gone. Reset's very low HP. They know exactly where he is, and he's reeling right now, just trying to find an angle that could possibly try and help him. Rexon's going to take down Resets. Ask will at least be able to get one from that situation, but now he has an angle that's over the top of him inside of Solarium. That's actually going to be Citizen with that AK. You're sitting there waiting for him to try and rotate out of the stairwell. They have a pretty successful spot to try and go for this plant as well, but they don't have a nitro cell. They're going to have to try and do this with impacts via Palu, and then try and take some angles through that verticality. Looks like they might just try and go for a rotation here as well. Pick and choose as you will, but it's going to be trying and find a pin inside of a lot of hay. Doesn't really work out for him. And now for Liquid, they're going to have to try and get back on this top floor and try and recruit from this plant.
Soniqs definitely losing a little bit of momentum there due to the earlier downing of Geo, and the case that was lost with that ended up going down for those who didn't catch it there, just over by the the bedroom and Solarium doorway. What was causing so much delay, of course, is Ask had a direct angle to contend against anyone who would have gone for the pickup on that. Soniqs, of course, are now working their way past that obstacle and putting it into a 3v2 post plant. It's up to Palu and Ask here to retake the game, to retake this round as well. Not going too swimmingly, unfortunately. Grixer as well as Rex quickly shut things out, and the Soniqs claim the opening round.
Absolutely ridiculous. And Rexon's talking about shooting Nesk in the face, in case you guys were wondering what he was talking about. He was talking about how he just sprinted into office and shot Nesk immediately.
And we're gonna
like
see
this. Look. Yeah, you know, France has something for that. It's called the guillotine. Decapitation is what we call that right there. That was ridiculous from him. Very well done from Rexon, as the Soniqs once again starting things off extremely strong up against Liquid here on Chalet. This offensive side is where we're going to see Soniqs probably taking the majority of their rounds, but I mean, if they deal enough of a death blow to the ego of Liquid, they might just take this pretty cleanly. You know, if we're talking like a 5-1 split on offense, that's going to be pretty difficult for Liquid to try and work back from.
We already saw how well Citizen can deploy himself into those like extended roaming hard points too, and there's so many of those.
Oh yeah,
like the one outside the library, and beyond that as well. We can talk about them all day long here, but that's the most obvious one, and we're almost certainly going to see Citizen play into those positions, and almost certainly see him be effective from those positions when we get on the defensive side. So expect that to be a lot of the prowess for Soniqs' defense when that time comes in about 5 rounds.
Yeah, when it comes to maps like Chalet, where the offense has an inherent advantage, there's 2 options on defense. You either play a crapload of utility versatility, or you get pretty aggressive and try and get some important kills early on inside of the round. And so far, the Soniqs have done very, very good at quite a bit of that. Liquid, not so much. The last map, obviously, a little bit different when it comes to Villa and strategy, but for this one, they're just getting picked to pieces, not really stepping up to the plate and going for these swings. The Soniqs are able to capitalize on quite a few of their different plays that they've had going on so far just through that first round. They're going to try and go for things yet again here. It's going to be on the library side here, and the coordination working out quite swimmingly for Soniqs. You can see how easily things are going on that library balcony as they begin opening up the garage down low as well. Soniqs looking so very good for this first best of 3 here at SI.
Getting a bit deeper into this round now.
Perfect. Oh my God.
Man, the Soniqs continue to surprise with the amount of aggression they successfully bring out. Palu and Nesk both down again inside of the first minute of the round. And again, the Soniqs just set up for success over these next 2 minutes.
That was absolutely perfect. If you have to tell anybody, if anybody needs to show their friends how you clear library,
that's it.
You just show them that clip right there. That's all you do. You play the window, you throw the stun over, and you have your player hop in double. That's it. That's all you need. As long as you have somebody else able to manage that library balcony just for a split second so Rexon can cross across and get away from that angle, you're more than likely going to be successful. Unless, I mean, you are Rexon, then you just kill them both yourself. I mean, come on. Soniqs looking to try and get their second round here. In Liquid, I would say worse for wear, but they're looking like a shell of their former selves right now.
Well, let's see if they could potentially bring themselves out of that shell, either on this round or a deeper one. So far, though, it looks like the Soniqs are, like we said at the end of the first map, to make a statement. And a statement they are making here, 2 rounds in a row against one of the best rosters, not only in Latin America, but in my opinion, one of the best rosters in the world.
Liquid discombobulated, flustered after these first 2 rounds. I mean, you can see why. It's not that they're not doing the things that they know work. It's that it's simply not working. The Soniqs are there every single time to cross the T's and dot the I's and take the round. Liquid have not a single thing inside of their handbasket to assist them at the current moment. And in fact, after that last round, I'm really surprised that we already haven't seen a Liquid timeout, because these defenses are going to matter quite a bit. It seems like they want to try and go for a full site rotation, but they're not even going to use that to their own benefit either, John. They were main stairs first, went garage second, and then back up to the top master yet again here to see what they can get done. Is it going to be Soniqs 3-0? What do you think?
Well, if it is 3-0, which personally, yes, I do think it'll go 3-0 on this round. I think that's when we're going to see the pause from the members of Team Liquid. This one I think is around is like, okay, they made some mistakes on this attack back in round number 1, so I think Liquid is thinking they can maybe make some smaller adjustments here, fix it. If that doesn't happen, that's probably when the pause is going to come in. It's like, okay, now we need the coach's help because we are lost.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the strategy, you can see how much different it is from Team Liquid's first defense on this top floor.
They've got an idea of how to counter this one, it seems.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think it's even past that. I think it's Liquid recognizing that it's now or never for the Soniqs. Yeah. Remember, this is round robin in a single best of 3, so this is the only time that they get to play the Soniqs. If they don't beat the Soniqs here, the Soniqs have beaten them for the entire group stage. So, and Soniqs no longer have to worry about it until they get to main stage, where they could potentially, obviously, play Liquid in the semis. So, past that, though, Soniqs definitely at the helm of this one and taking their time. I mean, they've looked so solid as an entire unit here, and I cannot say that enough. I'm so very impressed with what we have seen throughout these first 2 maps here, and I'm extremely excited for the entire group stage that we have.
Away from that, things will continue to evolve a little bit here for the Soniqs. They're going to take their time with this one, and good reason too. Liquid, like we said before, seems to have a pretty good idea in terms of how to counter out the strategy from the Soniqs that worked out previously. But it's all about whether they can follow it through in the execute itself. Continuing to see them take their own time with their drone game here, looking for potential pain points that they could abuse against Team Liquid, but not necessarily finding any of those early on just as of yet. Grixer, though, still forcing himself in, but does not realize the cross from Lagonis is there. He shuts him out instead, takes Grixer down, but a trade is found from Geo to keep us even at 4-all.
Love the call from the Soniqs and the play there from Grixer, but sadly, nobody else from the Soniqs exactly prepared for that. No one really hopping to and trying to assist him with that push. He was just on an island inside of office once he got there, and really wasn't, willing to risk too much with his movement either. Just kind of stayed stalwart until he was gunned down from Piano. And now with a minute and 20 seconds left, this has looked like Liquid's best chance of getting around thus far. Still plenty of map control across the board, especially over on the library side. Still have some people rotating around down low as well. But after that good shot shot there from Rexen. This might have opened the board up. Rexen, he's getting so much done. Palu can't win the fight. All he had to do was hit Rexen a singular time, but the Soniqs, they're getting it done. Rexen, like the Matrix, he's dodging every bullet that's sent at him until finally resets will cut him down to size. He's got the case at his disposal, but he has to try and hold it down in Solarium away from 2 deadly Soniqs members.
Let's see here if Resets can bring out his own hero moment after we saw one from the Soniqs just a few moments ago. Unfortunately, not going to happen. The Soniqs just seem like they're unstoppable, at least here in their first match against Team Liquid. Like we were talking about before, the pause, we have to hope it's coming, and indeed, I do believe it is. Liquid finally calls for that tack timeout here as the Soniqs are running away with the lead so far on Chalet.
I mean, it better, because I don't think you could slap the smile off of Rexen right now.
9-1.
Disgusting, man. Absolutely disgusting. He's literally pulling the exact same thing that we saw from Doki earlier in the day. I think Doki had 12 through 4 or 12 through 3, one of the two. Just ridiculous gameplay out of the individuals here today.
Very much the case. So immediately we're going to see the insight come in from Team Liquid's coach in terms of how they need to try and get into the way of this. What is going to be the way to try and win this one out? That is now the big question, Stokes. How do they come back from this where it just seems like Soniqs' attack refuses to die?
It's hard for me to say, Mr. Dr. Blue. My diagnosis is that Liquid is not really playing their own team game. We need to see them find it in and of themselves to play their own version of Siege, but at that high rate. We need to see them free-flowing, moving quickly, making those decisive moments, those decisions that we always see in those microsecond times that we want to see out of Liquid. We really need to see them try and get back on their own page and play their own game, just to that high level. If we can see them set a proper pace and actually play off of each other, I think that we have a heck of a game here. That's the biggest problem I've seen. Liquid has been picked off time and time again, not only from the individuals of Soniqs, but also by the overarching strategy that they're playing, the ISO plays, the different ways that they're using their drones to try and find out where some of these players are, the way that they're abusing site setups. That's a key thing. A lot of teams, at least in within recent history, we haven't seen really going for that poke and prod on site when it's still 5v5, right? That's something we've been seeing out of the Soniqs. They find that ISO'd anchor on site, and they're like, all right, well, I'm gonna dip in the door for 2 seconds, kill that guy, and leave. And it's working. It is working so very swimmingly for them. So for Liquid, we'll see if they can try and switch up some gears. They want to go back downstairs here and see if they can benefit from that. It's going to be inside of Games and Bar. And this site, pretty finicky when it comes down to it, has a lot of library play involved. So what will the Soniqs say in their defense?
Let's find out. Because of course they're now locked in as well. Nothing really too surprising with regards to their operator lineup they brought to the table. Citizen, of course, going to be sneaky as ever. That's really been the trademark play from him throughout this game so far here. So he'll continue to deploy onto that Nook. First time I think we'll see him on inside of this specific map, though. He's bringing it out a few times on the previous one. Away from that, though, of course, we've got plenty of utility coming out from Grixer there on the Lion, and the usual execute utility that you would often find for this specific site here. Not necessarily the most respect going to be played to the downstairs hold here. Soniqs initially breach open Snowmobile, opening up a path not only for Citizen, but potentially a few other players to try and swing around against that, too. It's actually minimal pressure onto that library clear, where you normally are going to see the attacking team start out against this site play here. Now, however, we are starting to see the Soniqs start to loop over towards that, as well as other areas like Ego to try and take some more of that second floor control, which they eventually are going to need more than likely to get themselves into the site.
Well, minus the strategical points that we've seen here inside of the opening minute, not too much to say about this round. The Soniqs are going to work their way in. This is going to be our first beneficial gunfight. Citizen will knock down one, and once again, John, they poke and prod in the site, they find it's open, and they're going to go for a plant. Citizen has the most pivotal position in the entire building for this site, John. You can't kill this guy here. There's no verticality. They already have the reinforcement panel there, so unless he dies on a door peek or the mirror swing, this round's more than likely over. Oh my God, Team Liquid, decimated by the North Americans after coming runner-up in Yongshiping. There's no way that they start off the Six Invitational like this, but it looks like they will. The Soniqs, 4 rounds in a row, and not easy rounds. I mean, they are straight up bullying Liquid.
I am hoping, for Liquid's sake, more than anything at this point, this is just them having a rocky first series to start out the tournament. Travel woes, whatever it is, because at the moment, if this is the type of play that we can expect from the Soniqs against a fully loaded Team Liquid, that's very, very scary, in my opinion, for literally every other team in this tournament.
Brother, look me in the eyes right now. Look at me when I say this, okay? This isn't Team Liquid playing bad. This is the Soniqs playing astronomically well, and the fact that no one knows what they're going to be fully doing doing because they just got Citizen. You can't go back to the Soniqs from Yongchiping and be like, oh yeah, they're going to play the maps the same way. No, the hell they're not. Why would you? There's no point in doing it. You had a 3-month break. You picked up one of the best players in the world. Switch things up. It's working out so very well from them. You can see the amount of work that was put in from the staff here for the Soniqs as well, from Goddess as well as Jobro. I mean, it's just going so very well from them. I am honestly very, very impressed. And that's something that feels really good to say about the Soniqs, man. They've been at this for a very long time. Super has been at this for a very, very long time, trying to find a roster that could bring North America a chip that wasn't just SSG with Canadian or EG with Canadian, you know? Trying to find somebody else that can benefit here that, well, also happens to be TSM or something like that. So Soniqs could be the next up for North America. We'll just have to see. Maybe it just took us a Brit to get across the line.
Well, as you said before, too, the really impressive part about how well these strategies are working is it's not just dumb, blind luck on the aggression side of things. It may appear that way, but as Stokes has broken down a few times, this is super coordinated drone and other forms of intel play where they are waiting for the
like this.
Yep, the exact perfect moment. We jinxed it a bit there, to be fair, but yeah, finally it doesn't play out into their favor. But those types of plays, like we were just talking about, which normally fail in any other game, have been working tremendously well for the Soniqs inside of this series. Now we get to see how they adapt, though, and things start out a little bit more bumpy, as of course that entry will fall flat on its face this time.
It's actually perfect that happened, because that even plays more handedly into what we were talking about, because the last time that went so well, because the Soniqs had somebody on the corresponding window to throw a flash over. Rexon just took that straight up coin flip gunfight and lost it. That happens sometimes, man, whatever. Gunner's going to go down as well. It's a 3 versus 5 here. Soniqs more than likely just going to take some time out of this round to talk things out past just trying to get some of these big picks here. Round's not over, but definitely going to take their time and see if there's something they can do to try and get themselves back in it.
This is the other unfortunate side of the play style from the Soniqs right now, is if those opening entries don't go their way, it leads to a situation like this where it's very tough for them to get back into the round, for them to make any form of effective play past that point, really just relying on individual gun skill to try and make something happen. But as you said, realistically, they're probably not expecting to win this one at this point.
Oh my.
Back, trying to see if maybe one of their players gets lucky, and like you said again, more than likely just focusing on the strat for the next round at this point.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to what the setup is downstairs for Liquid, you're more than likely not going to bunker bust that with what you have. You know, it's just going to be really, really hard fought. So, I mean, Geo's still trying to make the most of it, but with a minute remaining, as long as Liquid plays, you know, on their morals, make sure that they don't get too ahead of themselves and try and take these disjointed one-on-ones, and should be a round for Liquid here on Chalet, and one that they desperately need. Soniqs already at the split count that we're used to. 4 rounds for the offense. Anything past that is extremely beneficial. This is more than likely looking to be a 5-1, but Liquid definitely could have something to say about that. The only problem now is they don't have the basement site to do it.
Yeah, which site do you go to is the problem for Liquid now, moving on to the next round, because essentially every other site has been null and void in terms of their defensive prowess. You're only just now finding that success the very first round, just picked up by Team Liquid due to the early denial of the aggression from the Soniqs, as well as just a good follow-through on their basement play.
Rexon a pixel away from changing that round, by the way. He is a pixel off of Nesk's head right there. Incredible from both of these squads, and I mean, you got to give the benefit of the doubt to Liquid there. They are definitely in a hole, but they're still willing to fight, and that's what we were talking about previously to that round. It's not the fact that Liquid is playing poorly, it's the fact that the Soniqs are playing so well that is really just throwing a spanner in the works of Liquid. They really don't know how to process everything that's going on around them right now. Fortunately enough, they found some saving grace, a lifeline here in round 5, but round 6 would definitely sweeten the pot.
Let's see here now if the Soniqs can go for that pivotal 5-1 scoreline, basically setting themselves up for near success already, just with the 2 follow-up rounds needed out of the 6 overall in the second half to close things down and close out in this series in 2-0 fashion. It's the second place finisher from Jönköping. It's back upstairs, it looks like, here for one more go at it for the Team Liquid roster. Still going to see that downstairs dining room defense prepped up as well, supported by the mirrors, as well as more than likely a few of these electric claws from Ass to try and stem the tide, prevent the Soniqs from just flowing in as they have done on the 4 rounds they've already picked up for themselves. But they are out and about, spawned in yet again. Bringing a few different operators this time. Rexon feeling the full confidence. He's gone all the way over and onto the Twitch for this one as well, so he'll pick that one up. Obviously, again, we've seen those couple of nerfs come in on the Twitch recently, but still going to see a pretty proficient amount of play out of her. And he's actually got the carbine right now with the Twitch as well, so let's see what he can do with this.
Yeah, actually, everyone's gotten rid of the F2, John. The F2's dead and gone. Rip and chat for the F2, in case you guys didn't know what happened.
Still seeing the play with her, though.
Yeah, I mean, well, you get 3 drones, so, I mean, you better play her. I mean, come on. But yeah, the F2 lost its grip, folks, for those of you that just simply watch the game nowadays and don't get to play all of that often. Twitch, F2-wise, kind of dead and gone. I figure we'll still see it every once in a while. It's just that the recoil definitely is not that fun anymore. So people using the 417 just because it's an amazing DMR. DMR's got a buff some time ago, some solid damage on that gun, good ammo capacity, as well as the ability to create some pretty good soft destruction. So why the heck not? Twitch still a great op, and if the 417's a good gun, well, you might as well run it. So NitroCell going to be out here for Ask, but very well met by a Harbana on Repel Geo.
I want to welcome everybody from the A stream as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very interesting series. Some would say a surprising one, but for the Soniqs fans, they're feeling very well-oriented right now as they're up 4-1 against Team Liquid here after just shutting down Team Liquid's own map pick back on the first one. Looking to try and win it 2-0, and with just 3 rounds needed to be able to do it. Gunnar tries to make a play from down below in the basement, but it is read like a book by Ask, immediately shuts him down and stops that play potential from evolving.
Well, minute and 10 seconds left for the Soniqs now. They've lost Gunnar, so no sneaky things going on about the map any longer. Might have a potential issue here for Rexen as Palu is directly behind him coming up the stairwell, going for the gunfight, but Palu will gun him down. No other positioning beneficial for the Soniqs, especially after Citizen goes down. It's going to be all left up to Grixer, who's downstairs inside of the kitchen. Ass is going to be on the receiving end of this push. He has a very, very minimal HP as he is on Solarium, but can he hit this flick? No, it's going to be Grixer first. EE1D out, and this would be probably one of the craziest rounds ever if I see him get this. 2 big kills out of Grixer here, and oh my goodness, almost a third as he pre-fires through the floor. That EE1D almost bagging that 3rd big kill that could have really opened the gates for him.
Grixer still trying to make this play work. Running out of time, though, and the Toxic Babe still standing in his way is the other big problem here. Finally, Palu gets the jump on him by swinging it out from deeper in Solarium. Shuts down the round. Nice attempt at bringing the clutch down to a closer point, but just not realistic to be able to win that one out. So Liquid rebound a little bit here, at least. Bring it back to a palatable 2-4 scoreline at the end of the half. They've got some serious work to do right from the jump on the second half if they want to stay in this.
And the Soniqs are not letting off of that accelerator, immediately going to kitchen and dining room, not even defaulting out. No master play, no basement, straight to what they want most. And it looks like it's going to be quite the strategy as well. We've got some laser gates working their way in here, the Warden as well, on top of, well, the usual criminals that we see here. Azami definitely working her way in, whether it be via bans or just in the operator lineup. She's usually there, and then the Frost as well, which we see on any site that has to do with Windows. And this one most definitely does.
So let's see if it'll deploy as effectively for the Soniqs as we were seeing from Team Liquid. No direct trip-ups, of course, happening over the course of the half with it, but still slows things down quite a bit. It prevents those immediate window hop-ins from happening. We'll often see here, Grixer already deploying all 3. Quite a few repicks ending up coming out for Liquid as well, just to make sure they are properly oriented for this site take. For the most part, it's just going to be people swapping around to different operators. You can see Lagonis and Ask switching out there. Putting the hard breach onto another one of their players, and then adding a second one behind Lagonis. Also, no huge surprises, though, when it comes to the overall lineup for Team Liquid.
Nope, not at all. All of the mainstay fraggers here nowadays, especially after Sledge got his little nerf, huh? Nobody really trying to use him as a hardcore entry, even though they will tend to take the gunfight still, just given the fact that, well, I mean, if you're playing the op, you still got to do something, right? But yeah, Ashe as well as things like Yana are definitely a heck of a lot higher on the importance list now, which is interesting for Ashe because she really hasn't had a buff. It's just been everybody else getting nerfed around her that has made her come back to such a prominent position.
Gunnar sets up a nice little one-way for himself on the top of the stairs. Probably not really a one-way by definition, but more so in the fact that his opponents probably aren't going to catch that one before he gets the shot off. So
it's a Rainbow Six one-way.
Yeah.
It's the closest we're going to get.
Closest you're going to get realistically in this game. So it'll work out for the definition.
Been working on my Mirage one-ways. Yeah. They're coming along.
Well, we've got Liquid trying to work on the floorboards here, see if they can knock out anyone from the Soniqs down below. It does appear the Soniqs have completely vacated the area, so no surprises to be found waiting in the depths of that master bathroom right there, just holding into pretty straightforward anchor and extended positions here. While they wait to see where the first bit of real, actual player-focused aggression is going to come in from Team Liquid.
Yeah, and this is the waiting game for the Soniqs right now. Remember, Liquid really like using that opening minute and a half for drones. drones and angle work from the majority of the outside of the building. Unless there's like a super easy room for them to get a hold of where they can do relatively the same thing, you're not really going to see them try and pressure all that much. They want to keep all of their utility up and abound to try and get some angles open or anything else of the sort to try and benefit their offensive assault. Already lost a handful of drones here, but nothing to really call back on. Still have 6 available to them, but this is where the problem's going to start bubbling to the surface. Gunnar will get one. Palu will immediately refrag onto Geo, but Palu does not look down to his right. A very well-placed Frostmat will pick up one, but Nesk will take down Citizen. Somebody has to get resets. Nesk, he's on an absolute tear. 2 people are actually down by Frostmats. Nesk will finally go down. Palu's still down. Resets low HP. It's a 2 versus 2 here for the Soniqs.
Soniqs not necessarily realizing they had the opportunity to crunch in on this one, though. Palu going to get finished off regardless. Just Lagonis and Resets now. Resets no longer down for the count, of course, but soon is just going to be him in play. 1-to-1 exchange brings it down to a 1v1 outright. Resets has retrieved the case, but immediately Rexon has his angle when he tries to rotate through Kitchen. Another one for the Soniqs up on the board, just 2 to go.
All of that droning for no recognition for a hatch and Rexon being upstairs. That's the key thing there for Liquid. Like, if you're going to do all of that heavy lifting in your info work to try and figure out where everybody is and what's going on with the site, you can't have little mistakes like that where it's simply, oh, it's a 1 versus 1. Yeah, I have no idea where that person's playing. No clue. So it's just very unfortunate there for Liquid. But Soniqs having the redundancy throughout the entire map, that was the key thing for me. The Frost mats really playing quite heavily into that. And just the positioning of those Frost mats. I know it's very nitpicky for me to point this out, but him simply putting those off to the side of the window instead of putting them directly under is what killed both of them.
Yeah, Palu did a double take. Palu, his POV.
He shot directly down, and that's why he messed up, because his right leg is the one that hit the Frost mat. And all you have to do, you have to breathe on it, John. If a pixel of your ankle hits a Frost mat, you are in the Frost mat. So it's just very smart play there.
The second he moved his crosshair back up again, he was like, ah.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I didn't shoot it, did I?
He's like, oh wow.
I'm going to die in half a second.
Is this the cause of my own actions? This is, oh no.
A real life freeze frame moment.
You're probably wondering how I got here. Yeah, that's literally what Polly was going through there for a moment.
Took a flight.
Yeah, I took a flight from Brazil to Montreal to get my ass kicked by the Soniqs, apparently. So the Soniqs playing extremely well, looking to seal the deal here on round 8. And I mean, it would basically be a shot heard around the world if they were able to pick up both of these rounds back-to-back going forward, close this out 7-2, and just be like, hey, everyone's on notice now. The Soniqs are here to play.
Absolutely the case. It's going to be curious. It's going to be interesting to see how their second game goes more than anything, just because now they've been revealed. They've shown their hand, so to speak, in terms of the play style other teams can expect. So I would expect their next opponent to be a little bit more prepared as well for the kind of crazy shenanigans we've been seeing out of these direct entries from players like Grix or Citizen's own shenanigans that he's pulled out on quite a few rounds as well. We have seen Liquid adapt pretty well to this and start to counter it out a lot more directly, especially at the tail end of the first half on this map, where they're fending off the direct entry play. But now we've got Nesk catching at least one member of the Soniqs, but can't get a grasp on him. Citizen wins out another 1v1 and shuts out Nesk.
Well, he is going to take the fight up against Palu, but it would be quickly refrag the suppressed G36C, tagging him. I'll take him down, but a pretty beneficial kill, especially on Yana. Not only extremely scary, but that Yana clone, so beneficial to the offense. You can find so many positions from these defenders and practically unlimited uses, minus the cooldown. So Liquid now reeling a tidbit, as Palu will get that refrag, but he's right back outside the building. This is what we've seen from Liquid quite often. A minute 30, and now you're starting to see some play around the outskirts of the actual site, but this is exactly what we expect out of them. Palu might run into some trouble here. Doesn't look like we have anybody over in the library space, but we do have Grixer here on the blue stairwell. If he peeks out, has to take the fight up against Ask, or he might get pitched out by the top floor. Oh, they've got info now. And this is where the hot water ensues. Rexon, though, he's got it covered. Fantastic comms here from the Soniqs. They have got everything on lockdown. Liquid thinks it's so easy. Just walk in here and get themselves a Rexon, but obviously not the case. But for Ask, it might be. Gunnar, downrange. Gets taken out by a singular shot out of that EBR.
Smooth shot from Ask as well there. Just locks in onto it. No hesitation, immediately pops off the head of one of the players on the Soniqs, evens us back out. This is a relatively calm battlefield for how little time we have left on the clock, but I'm very quickly going to make mincemeat of those words here. Flashbangs prompt the entry to work themselves in from Solarium's side and partially into the master bathroom as well, but they don't have the intel confidence to move forward yet. They don't seem to have the drone play to try and push this one forward. Going to try to play it off their hard breach instead. The patient play is working, but now out comes Geo. Finds at least one, tries to go swinging into the other two. Way too long range with a shotgun in hand. Everything falls to Grixer here now with the plant starting to go down onto it. Is he ready to try and counter this back out? Does he read the Solarium player? He does! Gets one on the ground as well, but can't get the planter. He'll finish it off and Liquid stay alive.
You have to feel for Grixer there. Didn't know exactly where that plant was going to be going down, but we have that ability to look through walls, so he probably will never know until he goes back in this game just how close he was to being able to just pick off that case and win the round for them. Very well done from Liquid, staving off map point and match point here. Able to stay alive on that offense, but Soniqs definitely making things quite difficult. I really do appreciate, though, how Liquid went for the initial play that we saw more, downstairs, clearing out the roamers, run kitchen, and things along those lines over in, like, the dining area, and then immediately circumnavigating back over to library and trying to set things up all over again, get that crunch over on the library stairwell, and start breaking down the Soniqs play from a different perspective. It was very, very well met, and now Liquid able to at least lose one more round without losing the map.
Into the basement here now after a teeter-totter start to the half, going 1-1 for both teams here. No clear winner has been presented just yet as of the first 2 rounds that have played out. But this could be the one that starts to define it here, especially if the Soniqs come back in with a statement to set up their 6th out of 7 rounds. They need to close out this game. Quite a few repicks there once again for Team Liquid as well. Not going to lead to any crazy picks. We're going to see the Dokkaebi come back into play for Asp. We've already seen that in quite a few previous rounds. Palu, of course, going over to the Buck is the only real outlier here currently.
Yes, indeed. Can have the Dokkaebi working her way back in. This thing has been pretty strong for Liquid so far here, using that to be able to clear out some of these hard-to-reach positions from the Soniqs, get that info game going, just make it a little bit easier on themselves. Grixer's going to be the one downstairs in kitchen, and wouldn't you know it, it's going to be a good old-fashioned bandit trick here on the garage panels. And Liquid, I don't think have an answer to this at all. The only thing they could potentially do is try and pitch in a couple of Nesk's frag grenades through that drone hole, but that would also more than likely require a little bit of burn, as Rexon's ADSs are probably placed around there as well. So Liquid quickly recognizing, hey, we can't try and take from the garage side. We're going to have to try and rotate around to big garage and go via trench.
Phone call has gone out to allow Nesk and more likely 1 or 2 other players in the squad to clear things out here on the 2nd floor and begin the process of working their way down that Stokes was just mentioning a few moments prior. You can see it once again on the inside of the dining room as well. Citizen as well as Grixer still holding this position, as of course they also realize that Liquid were going to have to rotate into a top-down clear eventually, so they want to get in the way of that in the most proactive fashion possible, and it seems to be setting up on the inside of the kitchen is how they've chosen to do that.
Team Liquid, how far can you think forward, Soniqs? Yes, that's how far
there
forward.
We go.
Exactly. That's how far forward we can think. We can think pretty damn far forward, and now able to at least break things down into a 4 versus 4.
Again, big point here is that Liquid has slowly been catching on to the shenanigans being presented by the Soniqs, but they never really truly been able to get ahead of it has become the issue, as we just saw there with Grixer picking up another kill. Once again, tying it up. Palu finds the trade, very much so on to Grixer as well here. So it goes back to my point here about how the Liquid seems to be able to contain the situation. They just can't seem to predict it in advance is their main problem now. Cam Hack coming up here as well. We'll see if that presents anything for our attackers on the inside of the building. Shouldn't really give away too much here as you don't have any cam-based operators. Those defaults should be long gone by this point, but we have bulletproofs indeed that our attackers are still going to be able to see quite a bit from. Not giving over the most amount of intel in terms of what's going on the inside of Wine, though, is going to be the big issue from that, though.
Was that a bulletproof above the door for Blue?
I think it was, yeah.
How the hell did they get that thing up there? What? I know they got the other one, but my gosh, that is crazy. And, well, luckily enough, that didn't really take too much communication, did it? Liquid just try and force it immediately into Wine, and wouldn't you know it, since nobody is trying to deal with the garage panels or anything over in garage, all 3 players are focused on Wine. Kind of weird how that works.
Pretty much the case. No presence coming down main stairs or anything like that either. And while, yes, like I was talking about before, Liquid does counter out the aggression that's coming out from the kind of star roaming players right now, like Grixer, and of course what we were seeing from Citizen as well. It's always happening after the fact, and that's the big problem here, is they're always kind of chasing their own tail tail, trying to catch up to things while still also worrying about their own execute. Soniqs, as a result of that, now up on map and match point here to try and shut this one down 2-0.
This is not something that you can say all that often, and definitely not something that walking into today I thought that I was going to be saying so early on for the Soniqs, but they've basically outskilled Liquid. They have more gunfight potential than Liquid does. And that's not something, again, that you get to say all that often, but it's true. I mean, just look at the two boards. Look at how Soniqs is playing this map. And, I mean, even past that, all of the benefit that they're getting out of all of these roamers and everything else in between, right? Especially from, like, Citizen and Grixer. But then you get down to the side play like we got in the last round, and then you still have Rexen, who's 13-5 right now after he picked up another 2 kills the last round. It just seems like no matter what well Liquid goes to, it's dry.
Let's see if they can find a bit of an oasis here, as now they need 3 rounds back to back to back, a feat that they have yet to accomplish on the inside of this series. Most they've picked up consecutively has been 2 so far, so they're going to bring a gargantuan feat to the forefront, and arguably the worst position they have been at so far in this series now. So this is going to be, like you said, really a big ask from Team Liquid to try and bring this back from the brink. Soniqs are sitting nice and cozy, I would imagine, right now in their current position here, trying to close down one final round, I believe over in Kitchen as things currently stand.
Yeah, Soniqs doing their best chuckle all the way to the bank with this. Liquid gonna try and keep things at least somewhat relative to what their overall strategy has been for these rounds so far on offense. A slow rolling move here, trying to get the Selmas up on the window. I didn't think it was muted out or anything, obviously, since we don't have access to any of that. So it looks like the first one ended up just going to the side, sadly. And they will eventually get the window open, though. G is going to take some heat, been via a drone hole or something of the sort, but either way, Gunner is actually going to be the first person to get a kill, and it's going to be on to Nesk, somebody that we really needed to see step up inside of this round.
Gunner here, setting up that bit of an awkward zombie barricade as well, making it difficult for Ass to swing around to this one. Citizen with the cutoff just when the pressure comes in as well. Team coordination at the forefront of the play yet again from the Soniqs, and paying off in huge dividends, this time preventing the trades outright. Still all 5 alive right now for the Soniqs, and Lagonis being forced outside of the building to try and reposition, I believe, towards Trophy for a last-ditched attempt to work their way in.
Ask even saw the bullets coming out from Citizen on the cross, and he still chose to try and get up the stairwell. That entire strategy was set up for Soniqs to be able to benefit each other inside of that main hallway, and it works out so very swimmingly. Now Liquid, they have to try and get not only 2 kills, but a plant down, and a minute remaining here. Palu, as well as Lagonis, 2 of the top frags right now, but now Lagonis dead and gone via the angles upstairs that Grixer has through the floorboards. It looks like this might be all she wrote. Some big kills here, and it's going to be the collapse for Palu, actually, as he'll open things up. And somehow, some way, Soniqs have botched this to a point where in a 1 versus 2, and Gunner does not have the power position. 40 seconds remaining. He's been tagged by the DMR. These things do so much damage nowadays, and it's going to make it so easy for Palu to take him out. What a round that the Soniqs went back.
Huge comeback there from Team Liquid as well. A massive steal with the player pushing in his lair, just getting away with a double kill Colat, and 2 more players falling down directly after that as well. Huge mistake, and we're going to see it here. It was Palu picking up that double. Of course, you can see Resets finding a 3rd kill elsewhere also. Beautifully done there, and a massive mistake from the Soniqs to allow that push to go through.
I mean, Soniqs had everything going in their direction, everything going in their favor, and yet still not able to get it done. And that's why every time that we talk about Liquid, we always talk about these mainstay players, because you never know what's going to happen when they're alive. Sometimes Palu all of a sudden kills 2 people, Resets gets a frag, and now Liquid have a round that was a 2 versus 4, 2 versus 5. Just absolutely disgusting stuff. And you can see there's still that fight in Liquid. They want this game, but can Soniqs push them that much closer into the graveyard? We'll have to see. Liquid already has 1 foot in. Soniqs just needs to give them a proper push.
Definitely an important point there is that last round, really only the singular black mark we have so far for this team on a very clean sheet of otherwise clean paper here. The members of Team Liquid, though, that last round has very much rebounded them. He said, giving them the confidence to fight for at least 1 more round. We'll have to see if it's going to be enough to bring them back from the brink entirely and give us that full 3-peat that they need to trigger overtime here, potentially a 3rd map along with that, if they can go the full distance. Soniqs, of course, out and about yet again. I believe they are going to reattempt the same exact site. Does look like it here, as they'll call that last second play from Team Liquid a bit of a fluke, and see if they can quickly correct upon that one to still shut things down here, 7-4.
Yep, it's at the Soniqs' fingertips. It's tantalizing, well within their reach. We'll see if Liquid can try and thwart that game plan. So we have switched things up, obviously. It's going to be a kitchen defense here. Some strategy going on the top floor, but that's exactly what you would expect. I have a panel missing out of one of the office walls here, but that's more than likely just for crosses. Either playing out or in, depending on where the Soniqs members will be at the time of arrival from Liquid, which looks to be not too far off. I do believe we have a Gon 6 in the secondary pocket of reset, so yes, he's looking to do what we saw, I believe, from Rexen earlier on. Is either him or Grixer that did something of the sort when it came to this strategy, and he's going to work his way in, but he's not going to stop at the door. Oh no, he's going to propel himself forward. Piano will actually be the home to the gunfight. Nesk will take down one. Rexen fires back, and oh my gosh, a swath of trades back and forth, including a Claymore from Palu, as it'll be a 3 versus 3 going into a minute and 50.
Neither team getting a huge advantage out of that one. As you can see, Sonic still has some upstairs control to play with as well, so Liquid not even getting that piece that they really wanted to try and attain from the trades. Because of the fact that Sonic still had a bit of upstairs presence, you arguably could say that they're in the winning position from that previous fight here, but we have to see how the next 30 or 40 seconds to go to really get a much better judge of how that is all going to follow through into the execute itself here. Geo, as well as Citizen, now positioned downstairs. Rex in the lone hold upstairs, looking to try and prevent disaster if Team Liquid can set up and collapse upon the other two teammates here. It's actually looking like Geo may rotate into assist with this one as well, but great rotation, more importantly, great patience from Liquid. They catch Rexen right next to a soft barricade there and are able to take him down as a result of it.
Yeah, Paulu's been on that angle for an entire minute, just waiting for somebody to try and rotate up the stairwell, but sometimes that's what it takes in the siege. You know, you let the defense sit there and kind of rest on their thoughts, rest on their minds, and potentially someone might try and go for a rotation and try and get in behind the offense that could be doing something, but as we saw, Liquid was just waiting for that to happen. Geo's going to take a lot of hits, but oh my, Geo walks him right into the corner and takes him down via the Nitro cell. Lugonos will pick up Citizen, and now it's down to the clutch for Geo. Can he get it done with the SMG-11? Such low HP walking into the situation as well. Palu, aware that he could potentially come from down low. Oh, Palu's going to get down via a frost mat over in the corner. Lugonos, he has to win this. Big problems. Oh my, low HP for both of them. A singular shot back and forth. It's going to be the shot heard around the group stage for Soniqs if they can get it done, and Geo will! He seals the deal for the Soniqs, 2-0 up against a runner-up from Jönköping.
We talked about the potential clutch factor that was going to be coming out from this new roster, and specifically from Geo as well, and he brings it out just when it's needed in the very last round of the game. It's Sonic's victory, 7-4 on the map, 2-0 on the series against the second place finisher from the last major. That's a statement and a half right there being made with just one player swap. The Soniqs are looking better than ever, and very much so, at least for me, are looking like potential contenders for the Hammer if they can continue that performance throughout the rest of this group stage.
I mean, wow. Just so very impressed by what the Soniqs were capable of inside of this best of 3 up against Liquid. I mean, Liquid passed everything, right? They still played their game. It's just that the Soniqs were better here today. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board and try and get this figured out. I mean, past that, just that last round, I know every single person on that board was like, the goddamn frost mat. Why did it have to be a frost mat? Just randomly in a corner that takes out one of your players in a 1 versus 2. Lugonos doesn't have a chance to try and pick up a player in a situation like that. Has to try and get it done himself. And Geo, once again, showing his prowess when it comes to those clutch moments.
Not the only time we ended up seeing that happen as well. There was a previous round where 2 different players from Liquid had gone down to frost mats. Just seems like things were overwhelming this team, and they need to go back to the drawing board, recenter themselves, go for a nice reset to focus up on the next game. They unfortunately weren't that well put together compared to the Soniqs. That'll do it for myself and Stokes on this. We'll go back a little bit later on in the day. We're going to go to a break right now, and soon we'll have your analysis desk ready to break this one down.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do you do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
friendos, and welcome back to the stream. It's SI 2023, and we've just gone through our first half of today's broadcast, and our winners are set and done. I can't believe it that it's gone so fast, but Soniqs are able to take up points in our first series, 2-0ing Liquid. That's 4 points that Soniqs put up on the board in Group B. They're tied with M&M 4 points each. We're back. Hello, I'm Milosh. What's up? We got Ann and Jack back on the desk. Friends, let's talk about our winners here. Soniqs, I want to tie it back to when we started in our pre-match. Citizen, I know it's only one game, one best of 3. Yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay.
Absolutely.
Hey!
Big thumbs up. Yay. I think, it was the ambition that we talked about with Soniqs in terms of them going for a top, I said I believe he's a top 5 player in the world. Them going for that player shows their ambition and intent. They're at this tournament to win it, and they've just put out an absolute statement by beating the Untitled Major runners-up, Liquid, 2-0.
I mean, yeah, if you look at it this way, it's a great adding to the team. It adds a lot more fragging power, in my opinion, and you really create or solidify that nice front line that you have together with Grixer and Rexon that can really set up, guns blazing into the building, and that's exactly what we saw today. Really good teamwork coming out from Soniqs as well. I had the opportunity to listen into some of their comms, and they're really trusting each other. And that's special if you think about it, for the fact that this team has only been together for such a short time with their newest addition. They're really trusting each other, and they're making that vocal as well.
And Citizen said that in the team interview that they got some time to practice in Pennsylvania. So, but it wasn't weeks and weeks like with other teams. But from you both listening, I guess, to Soniqs and their calls, are they calls that are good enough to go into the fresh stack for the anti-VP stack? Or
do you know what? I think so. I think genuinely is what you want to see when you've got a team is you want somebody bring in an idea, and then you want everybody on that team bring in further ideas about how can I improve this plan. And we saw that a few times with the with the Soniqs, where they call, oh, we're going to do this, and then Citizens saying, right, well, if I'm going to do this, I need you to do this for me. It's a lot of primary information and a lot of making plays together. I think when you see teams that are looking to go deep in the tournaments, it's all about making plays and making them together and having those multiple voices. It looks, and I will say, it is only the first day of groups, but it looks like Soniqs have got that.
I mean, yeah, they really helped each other out. They were sending each other in certain directions that they really needed them to be, but also they were very disciplined. I mean, there was a round 1-4 on Chalet where the team was planning to do an all-together take-off bar, and Gunnar literally after that round said, well, I was just making smiley faces on the rocks outside the building because that's how disciplined I am. He did not rush in. He did not go for any kills. He just trusted the team to do what they would do best.
He has impressed me so much. I said this in Jönköping, is that the progression of a player for Gunnar to go into not a frontline role. He's playing more of a, I'll say a supportive role. He's not necessarily always playing supportive operators, but he's enabling his teammates a lot more. And how vocal he was for such a young player. He's the second youngest player at this tournament. How vocal he was and leading. It sounded from the comms again like he was a leader on this team, and he was constantly bringing ideas, being very vocal. I was really impressed with just listening to him. And he is also the hype man for the team. Even if you're outside a different building, you are hearing him.
The Canadian, I guess, on the squad, the scream that I cannot wait to hear when Dark Zero get playing here in the group stage.
Exactly, yeah. Another thing I really wanted to point out was the amount of attacks coming out from Soniqs. They did win 3 of them on Villa and 4 of them on Chalet, and they really, in my opinion, were prioritizing the right things. Was there a roam? They made sure they cleared that roam together, not just picking people one by one. And when they needed to go for such like a rush side execute, they were all together in that plan as well, really prioritizing the things that do matter.
To be honest, I will give another pumpkin spice latte take, which is a very mild one.
Go ahead.
I just started drinking coffee 3 days ago. You can blame Parker for that. But it seems like for SI in general, whichever team is just good on attacks and could put as many attacks on the board as possible is the one that'll probably win the entire tournament.
Yes, and if we may mention some attacks from Liquid, I think they were a bit sloppy from time to time. I'm mentioning a few Chalet attacks where I think I've counted a minimum of 3 Frostmets that were activated by the Liquid players, especially in that last round as well. Gio got that clutch because one of the 2 players on the side of Liquid was in a Frostmat, and the other player was on low HP. You have the man advantage post-planned, and you give it away by walking into your Frostmat.
Oops.
Yep. Oops.
Either that or a nitro to end, the
I
last
think so.
round.
I genuinely think that it was quite a bad day at the office for Liquid. I think we were looking for from them, particularly reaction after Jönköping. What was going to happen? How were they going to react? Because, are they going to be this team that can just get themselves going again, have the motivation to go again in this tournament? And they've come in and they've put in, let's be fair, a pretty mediocre performance on both maps so far that you're kind of wondering where do they go from here?
And that's why we always preface things that this is only game 1 of the entire tournament. Teams have been scrimming for the past, 4 days? So don't worry. If you're a fan of any team so far that's played or any ones that are upcoming, day 1 is one that you can always scratch away. It'll come back to bite you if it didn't perform well because you want to make it. But because 4 out of the 5 teams can make it out, it actually won't be super bad. Taking an L here and there. It's all fine. We all take an L every now and then. Right, Jack?
Yes.
All right.
Actually, I took a lot of draws rather than L's, Milosh.
That's true.
That's the self-burn. Before you got me, that was the self-burn.
That's true. Look at us now, though. We all look fantastic. You have a great shirt on. We both have great nails. Look at that.
Hey. Oh, I'm not.
I'm doing nails with Parker.
I need to paint my nails, so I'm matching with you all. Is that what it is?
Sounds like it. I'm thinking
Maybe.
bright pink, yeah?
Parker also has like pink and blue or green or something like that.
Really?
Shout out to our makeup artists here. They're fantastic, by the way. So yeah, always make it. It's been a long time since we've seen everybody here at Invitational in Canada specifically. So yeah, it's really fun to be in a second home here in Montreal.